captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Well, good Wednesday morning to you. Still plenty of water on the roadways on the commute in as we have reached hump day here, and I don't know if a little bit of air out of the balloon or James Boyd, if I could start here for you. In the last, let's say 2 months, do you think you've written more articles on sports or more articles on sports injuries?
Probably sports injuries between Anthony Richardson, Tyrese Halliburton, and now the latest groin injury for Caitlin Clark.
It's the reality of where we're at right now here on this Wednesday morning. Yes, the Fever won last night. Yes, Caitlin Clark finally hit a three on the road. And if for some reason you turned it off in the final, 2 minutes-ish of the game, Caitlin Clark probably had one of her better stretches she has had in quite some time. I actually thought the reaction to her hitting the three-pointer from the left wing in Tina Charles' face was kind of one of those, like, finally. But she then, with about a minute to go last night, on a backdoor pass that really, truly probably iced the game to Kelsey Mitchell. As she's jogging back down the floor, she reaches for her right kind of groin area, not the groin that she had previously injured and missed time. And, James, I thought that scene kind of for the next, really, 90 seconds to 2 minutes was just a ton of emotion coming out of Caitlin Clark. She hits the basketball stanchion, the support there with her head. It looked like at one point she was getting teary-eyed, put a towel over her head. Nothing from an update standpoint after the game, but I thought the actions told you everything of Caitlin Clark potentially suffering another injury. And as we play out the calendar, the Fever have a final game tonight before the All-Star break. And, of course, it's no break for Caitlin Clark. 3-point contest on Friday. All-Star game on Saturday, and just based off her actions on the floor, I would throw up a major question mark for all of that.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would think that she's not going to be available not only for tonight's game in New York or All-Star weekend, but for the foreseeable future because of her reaction, Kevin. I've never really seen her that emotional over an injury or over a play or something like that. And the word I would use to describe what I saw on her face was just concern. That was probably the most concerned I've seen her look. Like perhaps it's something like, oh, I can't play through this. And so I don't want to speculate too much. Obviously, we will get an update at some point today, whether about her availability for tonight's game against New York. But Stephanie White did say after the game that it was something to do with Caitlin's groin, and she was going to be evaluated last night and again this morning as they travel to New York. So we'll see where they are from there. But just an unfortunate situation for her, and obviously an unfortunate situation overall for the league itself, because with All-Star Weekend being in Indianapolis, Caitlin Clark is the biggest draw in the league, period, but obviously will be a little bit more inflated because she's in her home market. So just tough.
Yeah, I'll add one more before we kind of get into what to look forward to here on the Fan Morning Show on this Wednesday. I thought the scene, and I know I'm putting on like a super psychology hat here, so I apologize for it, but I thought her emotion post-game, first off, she's a highly emotional player. We know that. I thought last night was one of the more animated she had been really in a while. She had to be held back by Brianne January at one point, kind of going after some of the members of the officiating crew. But I thought what you saw there post-game was, or at the end of the game, I should say, was like, I finally hit a three. She had scored 9 straight to ice the game. Yeah. I mean, it had been her best offensive stretch scoring-wise in quite some time. I thought it was, oh my gosh, I finally look like my normal self. This is All-Star Weekend, and I've never dealt with injuries before as a basketball player. And I say injuries plural, because that's now the 4th different injury she has had dating back to training camp. It's been a hamstring, it's been a quad, and now potentially both groins. I thought all of it kind of played out in her emotional state there at the end of the game last night.
It's just unfortunate, and there's no other way to really put it, because as a competitor, as an athlete, I don't think you have to question how much Caitlin Clark is doing to be available for her team or how much it means to her. It's just one of those things where it seems like she can't get out of her own way. Not to say that's her fault at all. It's not her fault. It's just that, you take a couple steps forward and a couple steps back. It seems like every couple of weeks. And so, Stephanie White did say We have experience playing without her, and obviously no one's going to feel sorry for them around the league, so they have to keep moving forward without her, but potentially move forward without her, but it's just tough to see. And again, I've never seen her be like that, and kind of look in a way kind of defeated, and that was tough.
1 week from today, it'll be the first practice at Grand Park for the Indianapolis Colts. We'll go over maybe some position battles to keep an eye on outside of the obvious one. Being quarterback, Jake Arthur covers the Colts from SI, the pride of Brownsburg. He's going to join us coming up here at 8:30. And the Pacers have added one more Summer League game. I guess that's kind of a participation trophy out there in Vegas. So they will play a fifth game Friday night. That's actually at 9 o'clock. At this point in Summer League, Pacers will play tomorrow and Friday. Do you think we've reached the end of the Johnny Furphy thing?
We probably have. I see a lot
Sadly.
of teams do this. Yeah, they sit their best players down after a couple of games. And keep in mind, if he is going to be a part of that rotation going forward, you don't want to put too many games on him in the summer because those games add up. And as we've seen, I don't expect the Pacers to go back to the finals, but assuming you make the playoffs, that's a longer season, and you want to try to keep him fresh.
It was quite the scene last night in Atlanta. I guess a little bit after the Fever ended, again, a victory in Connecticut, but one that maybe had some insult to injury there late. You had the All-Star game end in a 6-6 tie. Did you guys happen to view the swing-off we got there in Atlanta? I know you weren't Home Run Derby viewers, but did you watch the swing-off?
I did watch it. I finished up the Caitlin Clark injury update for The Athletic, and then I saw Twitter talking about it, and I turned it on, and I saw Kyle Schwarber do his thing, and it made me think about Mark and the Cubs because I was thinking, man, Kyle Schwarber could probably still go to Wrigleyville and not have to pay for a drink.
Oh, he's got lifetime free drinks and food.
Exactly. So he put on a show. It was fun to me.
I did not stay up to watch it. I saw that it went to extras, and I saw at one point, the National League was cruising 6-0. Then the American League, once again, always seems to just climb their way into the game. So got down to the wire, but then I was looking at the clock, and I'm like, do I want to stay up and watch this? I feel like I'll just figure it out in the morning.
Schwarber is such a legend. And I get it from a Cubs standpoint, but, I just love how he's built. I love how he's wired. I love how it's home run or strikeout. I love everything about Kyle Schwarber, the baseball player. And, if you would have told me last night, hey, Kevin, I know you haven't paid attention to the MLB All-Star game in years, but if there's a tie, there'll be a swing-off. Can you pick one player that would hit 3 homers and 3 swings in the tie-off? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, 100% Kyle Schwarber. And that is exactly what he did last night. So, as Mark said, the NL up 6-0. The AL comes all the way back. They score in the 9th. Schwarber actually had an at-bat in the 9th and lined out. And so it goes into a swing-off. So each league sent 3 batters up there. You got 3 swings to try and hit a home run. I want to say when Schwarber got to the plate, was it 3-1? Does that sound right? AL led?
Yes.
And so he was the second to last hitter for the NL, and he went 3 no-doubters. And the last one, Schwarber, going down to his knee to hit one, just an absolute smoked liner over the right field wall. So the NL wins the All-Star game thanks to Kyle Schwarber. He's MVP with no hits in the game, correct?
I believe so. And that is crazy. But I was thinking, if it's how you got over the top at the end, yes, I'm going to vote him as MVP. It sounds ridiculous, but he gave you the most theater in an All-Star game, so it's fitting to me.
I did like that, the rest of the team, the rest of the players were just, standing on the baseline, the base paths, just
everybody's out from the dugout.
It was very Little League-like,
Sure.
And I liked that a lot.
Yeah, it was a really cool scene. I was flipping back and forth. I primarily watched Fever last night, but I enjoyed, the Clayton Kershaw moment there. He was mic'd up with the booth. It was kind of funny. He was asking John Smoltz what he should throw, and literally, as he's in his windup, I felt like he was changing his pitch, but Dave Roberts took him out after a strikeout of Little Vlad. I thought that was kind of a cool scene there. So, it had your kind of typical all-star theater, if you will. A lot of mic'd up moments there. They chatted with Pete Crow Armstrong out in center field, 1 inning. But yes, certainly the highlight last night was Kyle Schwarber there in a swing-off in the 9th inning. No injury official report from the Fever. Again, they do play tonight. That is the New York Liberty at 7:30, but I would say I'm highly, highly doubtful that Caitlin Clark plays. If you look at the Vegas line, I want to say like a 8.5 or 9.5 point underdog, so I don't think Vegas has already chalked it up to no Caitlin Clark in the Barclays Center tonight. And gosh, I just I don't want to act like it's on the Tyrese Halliburton level because it doesn't appear to be, but I freaking hate injuries.
It's a gut punch. And, you know, when I tweeted about the injury, because I was watching the game and really just killing time, but the reaction via social media that I got was, man, why can't we have nice things here? And I was thinking, yeah, if you're an Indianapolis sports fan over the last year or so, you're thinking, man, like, when can we get our turn to have the star that's healthy and go on the run and have, you know, things end in a manner that isn't so deflating? And so obviously the Pacers did go on a run, but you know what I mean? Like, now you lose a season because of the torn Achilles. And to your point, Kevin, it's not to that extent with Caitlin Clark, but again, just tough to see her like that because she's such a fierce competitor. And even throughout the drought when it comes to shooting the ball and her turnover issues earlier in her career last year, I have just never seen her look like that, where it's like, you know what, I might be seriously in some trouble here because she's so confident. She was telling us the other day, Kevin, you know, yeah, I know I'm whatever for whatever from the field and I'm shooting pretty bad, but she looked at us and kind of smirked like, and she said verbatim, I'm not going to stop shooting. So, and kind of just shrugged it off. But this, obviously, you can't shrug off, and that's the hard part for her and the fan base.
Yeah, and again, I thought the post-injury scene was all of it bottled up and just kind of coming. It wasn't necessarily the severity of the injury. I think it was just everything of like, I've struggled away from home. I finally had a nice stretch. Here we are, All-Star weekend. I'm supposed to be, you know, the star of it all.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was all the emotion playing out. And, you know, it's another non-contact injury. I mean, if you watch the play, you know, nothing you will see from the play itself. It's literally once she starts jogging back on the floors. When
That's
she
what was odd to me. Like, she made a regular bounce pass. It was not
it was
like
a vintage Caitlin Clark backdoor pass to Kelsey Mitchell, really to ice the game.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't, to your point, Kevin, it wasn't like she came down, did some crazy crossover or slipped. It was a very mild play compared to all of the other plays she made throughout the game when she was driving to the basket and crossing over and falling to the floor. So that, to me, is very concerning when it is a non-contact injury, and a non-contact injury in a way where you did nothing extraordinary.
Might throw at you today the best offseason move the Colts made. And what your answer would be on that. Might bring that up to Jake Arthur. Hopefully Jake's still asleep and not hearing that. I can kind of spur it on him coming up at 8:30, but Jake has young kids, so I'm going to guess that he's probably not still asleep. So we'll talk some Colts again 1 week from today. Their first practice at Grand Park. Jake Arthur going to join us coming up at 8:30. We will talk All-Star Weekend. Joey Graciano does an awesome job. Great hire by the Pacers here in the last year or so. He was with the NBA. He actually was a huge spearheader of the bubble. Was in Indy, called Indy home for quite a while around the All-Star game. That would be the NBA All-Star game. You heard him in studio with us a couple years back. He'll join us here in the 9 o'clock hour. You want to talk about toughness? He's fresh off of a red eye, and he's going to join us in studio.
Would you prefer that, or is it just like you're forcing yourself to stay up? Because once you go to sleep off a red eye, I've done it, and you're pretty much cooked after that. Yeah,
I did the thing back when the Colts played in London where I couldn't sleep on the plane, and so I tried to take a quick little power nap once we landed. Oh, man. You want to talk about the dumbest mistake I could have made? Pathetic.
Did you wake up and like, okay, what day is it? What time is it?
Groggy as hell that whole Friday.
Those are sometimes some of the best sleeps, but also the worst sleeps.
I was in REM in the first 8 seconds.
You wake up and it's dark. You're like, is it 6 a.m. or 6 p.m.?
Yeah,
What's
that's always
happening
a little
here?
scary. Like, should I be getting ready for the show, or what are we doing here?
A lot to get to on this Wednesday morning. And again, thank you for spending it with us. When I say us, Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton right here on The Fan.
95 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, unfortunately, the news is not just about the win last night for the Indiana Fever, but let's begin with the on-court action. James Boyd, it wasn't necessarily the cleanest performance, but the Fever did pull away late. Kelsey Mitchell, Natasha Howard in particular, very good. I thought Sophie Cunningham, some quality minutes off the bench. So for the first time all season, the Fever, multiple games above 500, and now a back-to-back with the New York Liberty tonight, and that will conclude the first half of the year for Stephanie White's bunch.
Yes, I believe this is the Fever's first 3-game winning streak of the season. They were in 6th place in the standings at the end of last night. And to give Mark some credit last week, he was pointing out how the Fever hadn't won 3 games in a row all year. So they finally did it, but obviously at the expense of Caitlin Clark. And so that's a little bit, of a conundrum. Yeah,
it was a sold-out crowd last night at TD Garden where the Celtics play. Jaylen Brown was courtside, over 19,000 in the building. But for those that did stay until the end, Caitlin Clark, in probably her best scoring stretch in quite some time. She had scored 9 straight. She's actually on the bench with about 5 minutes to go in the game. Stephanie White put her back in, had a nice shot in the lane on J.C. Shelton. Later, finally hit a 3 to kind of help ice the game. She threw a backdoor pass to Kelsey Mitchell, and then running back down the floor, I would say probably more like jogging, she grimaces and kind of reaches for her right groin, which is the opposite groin that she had previously missed time with, and she was very emotional for the next minute or two in some clear and obvious pain. She did not return to the action, went right to the locker room. After the game ended, here was Stephanie White with a brief update on Caitlin Clark last night.
No update. Just felt a little something in her groin, so we'll get it evaluated and see what happens from there.
James, I know at one point earlier this season she wanted to return. The Fever held her out. I mean, I mentioned to you kind of late June, early July. I thought she should have sat through the All-Star break. It just was getting to one of those things with her of like soft tissue injuries. She's played so much basketball over the last 18 months.
Yeah.
She's never dealt with an injury. Just sit her through the All-Star break. Like, the standings are not that bad. You can still weather the storm. You get her back post this weekend and you regroup. Unfortunately, she did return, and we'll see what the update is. They have no shoot-around this morning, so I guess the next official update we'll get is right before tip-off tonight.
Yeah, like I said, unfortunate for her and the team. And one of those things where now, Kevin, I think whatever update or evaluation they get from the doctors will inform them to take a very, very cautious approach moving forward.
Plenty of fireworks last night in the MLB All-Star game. The NL had a 6-0 lead at one point, and the AL came all the way back to tie it up 6-all in the 9th. That meant a swing-off. Did you guys have any idea that that was a tiebreaker? I had no idea that that was a tiebreaker.
The Busch Guide, cold and smooth.
No,
I didn't.
Oh, that was Kyle Schwarber's walk-up music.
Right, I was going to say, I'm feeling, frisky. But no, I did not know that until Twitter told me. So I enjoyed it, though. I thought it was pretty fun theater. Laid back, of course, less pressure than in years past because it doesn't affect who gets, home field advantage. But I definitely still tuned in, and he delivered. I mean, the last one, to go to your knee and just go yard.
Oh, my gosh. His raw power is just absurd. So basically, each league got 3 batters. They went up there. They alternated, NL, AL, NL, AL. And you got 3 swings. So picture like real batting practice. Dodgers guy came out and threw to the NL. And when Schwarber got into the plate, he was the second NL batter. They were down 3-1. Schwarber goes deep center, right center, 2 no-doubters. And then the third one, as James said, down to his knee for the final and third homer. That held up 4-3. The NL get it done in Atlanta last night. Your MVP is Kyle Schwarber. Pacers have added one more Summer League game, so they'll play tomorrow. I think it's 4:30, I believe, against the Knicks, ESPN2, and then Friday night. So a back-to-back against the Pelicans. That is on big ESPN. If I saw correctly, 9 o'clock there. But as we reach this point in Summer League, James, oftentimes some of the frontline guys, I still think Cam Jones and Taylor Porter would play. Maybe not in the back-to-back, but maybe a guy like Johnny Furphy is not going to play. We'll see. Selfishly, I hope he plays.
I mean, have you seen the posters he's given us throughout this Summer League run? Yes, I hope he plays. But if we need entertainment, I believe Lance Stevenson is available. Get him on a flight to Vegas. Summer League extraordinaire.
That would be epic.
That'd be
Might not even need
hilarious.
to flight to Vegas. You can just call an Uber.
You might already be there, but I do
I
think
thought
he
you were
would
going to say
be.
he could fly to Vegas like himself. Like he just has that much aura around
Well,
him.
he did say, and I'll never forget this. First game back with the team in the 2021-2022 season, which was my only season covering the team full time. Lance Stevenson was asked about coming back here, and he's like, when I put on this jersey, I get my powers. And I was like, that guy right there is a legend. Legendary Lance Stevenson.
Absolutely legend. He strikes me as someone that should be in that TBT tournament coming up this weekend. Up at Hinkle, you have the TBT. I think we're somewhat used to this now. This is the, primarily, college-related team. So, like, Butler has an alumni team. You guys had, was it James Blackman Jr.?
Yep.
You guys had on for the Indiana team. So Butler's got a team. Indiana's got a team. For the Butler team, think Kamar Baldwin. Gosh, I remember how great
Kamar
Baldwin was.
a monster.
Oh, that end of the COVID year, that game at Xavier. I have vivid memories of that game. Sean McDermott, shout out there to the Pendleton Heights product. Shelvin Mack, we want to dial it back to the Final Four team. So, again, you've got a Butler team, an IU team. I think Valpo's got a team as well. So this weekend at Hinkle, starting Saturday afternoon, you can check out that action. I believe if the Butler and Indiana teams win, they would face off in the semis. And this is the regional round, winner take all for $1 million TBT action coming up this weekend. IndyCar up at Toronto. Scott Dixon has been excellent there on the streets of Toronto. Alex Blow actually has been a rather quiet, one of the very few tracks that he has been a little quiet at. So we'll have that coverage coming up on Sunday afternoon and continue to get you set for All-Star weekend. Again, 3-point contest right now. Caitlin Clark is in it. And, James, that is a loaded 3-point field.
It is. I believe the rest of the field is Sabrina Nescu, Kelsey Plum, Sonia Cintron, who's the rookie for the Mystics, who's been playing fantastic basketball as well. And I'll be missing one more.
Alicia Gray, right?
Alicia Gray, who is the defending champ, by the way.
You have the two defending champs, Sabrina and Alicia Gray.
Yep.
Yes, Sonia Cintron from Notre Dame.
Yep.
Has had a great rookie season for the Mystics there. And then Kelsey Plum as well. Caitlin Clark is the heavy favorite if you want to look at betting odds right now. Skills competition also on Friday night. Skylar Diggins, Erica Wheeler of local interest, 2 of the 5 competitors in that. But obviously with this Caitlin Clark injury situation, all of that is up in the air. All right, on the other side, Colts position battles to watch. Best offseason move. We'll get to maybe some Rick Carlisle audio a little bit later. He appeared on the Chris Long podcast, UVA connection. With
The longest tease for a podcast appearance of all time.
He has
It was like a
long.
week's worth of clips.
Yeah, I think once like the Turner News came out, they were like, let's release that one, but then let's hold off on the full interview. Nothing says summer in the sports world like that. So we'll play maybe a clip or two of that. This is the Fan Morning Show. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning right here, 93.5 on 107.5, The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
So last night, MLB All-Star game, we get the swing off to break the tie. 6-6 tie, ninth inning. We go home run derby style swing off. Each league sends 3 batters up there, 3 swings each. If we get 151 in the NBA All-Star game in February, what are we doing? Are we going one-on-one?
I would love that. 3 dribble one-on-one.
All right, pick one player from the East, one player from the West.
Oof.
3 dribbles. That ain't a lot.
I'm going Kevin Durant in the West.
That seems obvious.
And in the East, 3 dribbles.
I want a guy who carries the ball a lot. So, like, it technically isn't 3 dribbles. So, a guy who just, like, kind of full arms.
Hell, I might pick Giannis.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a lot to deal with.
We're counting 3 dribbles. NBA officials are pretty lenient with what that is considered these days.
Any of the Boston Wings, if they're healthy?
Yeah,
Tatum?
I might pick Tatum if he was healthy.
Yeah.
But
Benedict Mathurin?
you know what? He would actually shine in something like that, I think. I think he would.
Talking all kinds of junk.
I'm serious. I would love if the NBA had like a King of the Hill tournament. Or
Should that be part of the skills competition on Saturday night?
I think that would honestly, but it would take a lot of guys to put their pride aside
Oh, yeah.
and go out there and do it. Kevin Durant, I believe, said he would do it. But 3 dribble King of the Hill.
I mean,
That would be
Durant is
fun.
the poster. I mean, that is obvious choice, 1,000%. I thought it was a pretty cool scene last night in Atlanta. I get that baseball has just this ready-made sort of event that obviously it's their skills competition that you have there. But Kyle Schwarber gets it done last night for the NL. James Boyd, and a good Wednesday morning, by the way, for everybody tuning in. Thank you for spending your commute or your morning with us, Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton. The biggest off-season move for the Colts. Where would you go?
On field, we're talking. Obviously, the ownership change notwithstanding.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could. I mean, you could go off the field if you would.
Honestly, that's not a bad angle.
I guess let's put the ownership. I don't want to bring death necessarily into this. Let's put that to the side. Let's strictly go.
Like personnel decisions.
Football product.
To me, it's Daniel Jones signing. And I understand that might not be the sexy pick, but anytime you sign a quarterback for $14 million, that is very significant considering the issues you had at quarterback in years past and the issues you had currently with the guy who was supposed to be at the face of your franchise. I mean, 2-3 years ago, we were expecting, or at least hoping, if you're a Colts fan or you're the Colts front office, that by this point in his career, Anthony Richardson will be kind of like how C.J. Stroud is in Houston, where there's no question he's your guy. He's going to be our quarterback for the next 10, 15 years. That question has not been answered, and honestly, people will be extremely naive to think that it will be answered, I think, with Anthony Richardson taking that title and becoming that good that fast in this upcoming season. So I think Daniel Jones coming in to challenge him, potentially take his spot, was probably their biggest offseason move.
Can I throw one out there
Sure,
that also might be a rogue one?
Yeah, what do you got?
It's not necessarily a guy who's on the roster. It's a guy who's no longer on the roster, but I think moving off of Matt Gay was pretty big because we always talk about how in the NFL, games come down to like one-score games, and now you're kind of throwing Spencer Schrader and the like into the fire. And for guys that, we need these wins for the Colts. Shane Steichen needs these wins. New ownership group would like these wins. You're putting a lot of onus on the kicking competition to come through in this offseason.
It's really interesting you say that, Mark, because James obviously brings up quarterback, and I totally understand why you would say that, why you would put that atop the list. It makes rather obvious sense to me. Mark, you bring up kicker. You just made a very, I think, valid point with kicker. I could throw, I think, probably 2 or 3 more at you guys and make valid points with it as well. I could make the argument the biggest offseason move was firing Gus Bradley and hiring Lou Anarumo. I mean, you want to talk about a 180 defensively to how they've been? I mean, this is a big-time systematic change on that side of the ball. What about the draft pick of Tyler Warren?
Ooh, that's a good one. The reason why I'm a bit hesitant there is like we have to see if he's good. And I'm not saying he won't be good, but
the bar is also so low in the tight end room where it's like any sense of production from him
you
will be a
just
godsend.
drafted the best college tight end for a single season we've seen in, 40 years?
Yeah, when you put it like that, Kevin, you're pretty convincing. But yes.
And I'd throw
Good
one
point.
more, would just be the combo of what they did in the secondary with Cam Bynum and Mooney Ward.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of money they spent, a total change of philosophical approach with free agency. Like those three, like again, kicker, if this debate class, Mark can make a great debate for that. Quarterback, it kind of goes without saying. I think you could also make strong cases for defensive coordinator, for Tyler Warren, and for what they did in the secondary with those two pieces. In proven playoff, I mean, Mooney Ward's got as much playoff experience as hell, the whole Colts roster combined almost. So it is kind of a reminder of like, wow, the Colts did do a lot this offseason.
I truly believe that. I think that Chris Ballard was more aggressive, and that front office was more aggressive, at least in spending, than they've ever been. Obviously, we can back that up with the numbers. You got two defensive backs coming in for $60 million contracts. I believe Mooney's is 3 years, and in Cam Bynum's is 4 years. But nevertheless, that's a lot of money to pay these guys, and we haven't seen them spend money like that in the past. So for me, it all comes back to, and it always will, what does your quarterback play look like, and is that consistent enough, to use a word that Shane Steichen loves, for you to have the overall success that you desire? Meaning you can make the playoffs because your quarterback isn't holding you back. Because if you ask me right now if I thought their defense was better even before they played a snap this year compared to last year, I would say yes. Just because of, how porous that defense has been in years past and the changes you made in personnel, and both as a coach and with players, and, the overall desire to try to get better.
Rob is going to change it up on us here in the YouTube stream. He wants to go 3-on-3, opposite team chooses players.
Yeah, I like that.
NBA All-Star, tied game, over.
You want to talk about some ego checks there? That'd be fun.
If I could take it maybe a step further, Rob, just to get a little balance, maybe one guard, one forward, one center, just so we're not looking at like three centers out there trying to operate. I don't know. Maybe that would be more entertaining to some people.
I mean, they say basketball is positionless now, so.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think about picking Wembanyama if Durant wasn't in the West? Three dribbles?
That wingspan you're
Yeah, I
talking
was going
about?
to say, I kind of forgot about Victor.
Like Michael Jordan in Space Jam.
Yeah. I'd probably pick against him just to make it interesting, honestly. Like, I mean, I would like to see him in it.
Defensively, though, that'd be a pretty good player to have one-on-one.
Oh,
Because you
Lord.
got to think about the other end a little bit.
That's true. Honestly, looking at, I know we're on a tangent here, but looking at what San Antonio did this offseason and the amount of, like, tall people they have on their team, their defense is going to be terrifying. He is, Wembanyama he just got cleared, I believe, recently as well. So.
And they drafted Dylan Harper, right?
Yeah, and he's a defensive, or he's someone who can, I'm sorry, I was thinking of Carter Bryant. They also have Carter Bryant there as well. But yes, Dylan Harper is going to be a good player, I think, in the NBA too.
Last night, Fever, Keys to the Game, brought to you by the Hubler Automotive Group. Check out your next car at drivehubler.com, Indiana's giant automotive group. Unfortunately, James Boyd, I don't think we can talk about really Keys to the Game without mentioning the Caitlin Clark injury first. Describe, for those that maybe did not watch or did not see the end of the game, what happened with about 30 seconds to go last night.
Yeah, so Caitlin Clark makes one of her patented backdoor passes to Kelsey Mitchell because, as we know, Caitlin Clark draws so much attention that backdoor pass is usually there. So basic bounce pass, and right after she makes the pass and tries to go back on defense, she grimaces and clutches at her right groin, and tears well up in her eyes. She goes back down to the other end of the floor, bangs her head on the stanchion underneath the basket in frustration, goes over to the bench, puts a towel over her head, and she's kind of sitting gingerly. And the only thing that we got from Stephanie White after the game was that, yes, Caitlin Clark is dealing with a groin injury, but they don't have any other updates beyond that. But from the look on her face, Kevin, and for those listening who did not see it, that to me was most concerning because I've never seen her look that sort of defeated or maybe, panicked. It just wasn't what we've seen from Caitlin. Even amid the shooting slump, I've never seen her look like that.
Yeah, I could not agree more on that. It was a look of why the bleep is this happening to me?
Yeah.
I think it was kind of all of it bottled up of she once again had a struggling night from the floor. She actually had probably her best 3-4 minute scoring stretch in quite a while. She had scored 9 straight right before that assist to Kelsey Mitchell to truly ice it. I'm sure she was thinking about All-Star Weekend upcoming as well. And, of course, dealing with her 4th different injury now in the last couple of months. I probably had 2 audible gasps last night watching the Fever. One was that, just watching her general reaction of like, oh, man, you just feel awful for her of all the times to be hurt. It happens when, hell, she might never get another All-Star game in her home city. Who knows how that will play out the rest of her career. So that is one. On the same day, it's announced that she will be participating in the three-point contest coming up Friday night. And now with this latest, that appears to be very much up in the air. But I could not believe when Pam Ward, the play-by-play ESPN woman last night, said when Caitlin Clark missed her first 3 of the night that she was 1 of 28 from 3 on the road this year. 1 of 28 from 3 on the road this year?
It seems impossible.
So, Pam Ward says that. I literally out loud thought to myself, what? So not that Pam Ward would be wrong, but I went and looked it up. She had only played, last night was her 5th road game. You remember out west when she was really bad in that 3-game Western trip?
Yeah, and they sat her down after that.
So that, that's where a huge chunk of that, obviously takes place. But yeah, her shooting percentages from 3 this year, she is 39% at home. Obviously, that's a very, very respectable, impressive number. She is a 3% three-point shooter on the road. She actually hit 1 late last night. But for the game last night, she was 1 of 7 from 3. She was 4 of 14. So, even before the injury, James, she was continuing to struggle shooting the basketball. Really, it was I would say, a poor night for her, and one of the rare off nights that Aaliyah Boston has had this season as well. I thought Kelsey Mitchell and Natasha Howard were the key ingredients, and Sophie Cunningham gave them some big minutes off the bench. But I mean, remember earlier this year when we talked about like Tyrese Halliburton's home road splits? Dear Lord, Caitlin Clark this year, and her assist to turnover ratio is also much worse on the road, which I if you're going to ask me why or to explain it, I have no explanation. That crowd last night was a home crowd for the Fever.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when they started the game, and I think it was, 7 of 7, 8 of 8 or something like that, that crowd was rocking in Boston. But that, honestly, to me, is the Caitlin Clark effect, because everywhere she goes, she's a rock star, and people want to see her more than they want to see others. That's just a fact.
3% from 3.
For a shooter like that. This isn't, me chucking up shots.
If her name wasn't Caitlin Clark, would she be invited to the three-point contest with that stat?
No.
I mean, hell,
no
not
chance.
only is she invited, but she was the favorite.
Yeah.
I guess pre-injury here.
And to be honest,
she was a
home
notable
arena.
favorite.
I was going to be like, that was easy money to make if you bet against that. Because
she's shooting it well inside of Gamebridge. She's 39% inside of Gamebridge.
Yeah, but I believe she said she also had shot off a rack before. And I've heard other players say if you haven't done it, it's just kind of weird to work through. Now, and I did appreciate her approach, though. She was just like, well, it's not that big of a deal, so I'll just get out there and do it. But now we have to wonder if she isn't able to participate. By the way, I wonder if they would name an injury replacement.
Why not Kelsey Mitchell?
Kelsey might be willing to do it. I want to say Kelsey. Do you remember that year
Hasn't
when
she done it before? Has she done it?
It was, I don't know if it was a three-point contest. She might have done the three-point contest before.
Or Lexi Hall or Sophie Cunningham.
But
some Fever rep.
Do you remember when Erica Wheeler got stuck on a plane or something? She couldn't get.
Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah.
To Phoenix.
And Kelsey Mitchell filled in for her in the skills challenge, I believe.
So that might be why Erica Wheeler's participating in it this year.
Kelsey Mitchell has done the three-point contest twice in 2018 and 2023.
Okay.
But you know what, though? I might throw my hat in there and say, get Sophie Cunningham in there, because she's a fan favorite.
Well, you have no Fever rep in the skills competition.
Right.
Which, again, there's just 2 events, skills and 3-point.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, if Caitlin Clark can't participate, I think that you would.
I think I'll lean towards Sophie more than Kelsey, because Kelsey's done it before. She's going to be in the All-Star game anyway. Give Sophie some love. She's in the home market as well, and people love her. I mean, she gets love like TJ McConnell does when it comes to making plays, hyping up the crowd. So that, to me, would be a nice little pivot.
Am I seeing this right? Most common birthday in the U.S. is what?
Now, what do you mean by that?
Like the date?
Yes. What's the most common birthday? What would you guess?
Are we talking about
One of my children had
month
this
and
birthday.
date?
Month and date. Out of 365 days, you can pick one day. I don't know what
November
this says.
4th.
November 4th for James Boyd. Mark Dykton?
Yeah, I'm trying to I'm counting 9 months past Valentine's Day. So I'll say November 16th.
That's my mom's birthday.
Well,
I don't know what that says about Grandma and Grandpa Donahoe.
hey, I think you got some questions to ask
Well,
next Thanksgiving.
I was going to say, are those questions still valid now?
Those questions are up in heaven to get answers to those questions. This is actually the birthday of Max Bowen, September 9th.
Okay.
It's the most common birthday in the U.S. Now, Mark Dykton and your, he and she and Rolodex, what are you going back to New
it
Year's?
is winter time.
Are
It's
you going
cold
to New Year's
out.
Day?
It is cold out in the
New
winter
Year's
time. Yeah,
Is that where you're going with that?
probably. And, like, hey, it's cold out here. I've got an extra blanket if you'd like to join me. Oh,
By the way, I forgot.
well, we're here.
I don't know if you felt this yet, Mark, but I forgot my age the other day. Have you been there yet?
Yes. I actually forgot. I've done that before where I forgot. I thought I was younger than I was. I was like, oh yeah. I'm actually not that.
I get I've already had a hair transplant. I've been to the Cairo, probably 13 times this year.
Got your Hokas.
Got my Hokas on. Again, my right big toe has no cartilage left. I'm like, damn, I'm old as, dirt. Have you forgot your age yet, James Boyd? You are how old?
29.
Mark Dykton, you are?
39.
Yeah, I'll be 36 in September, and I literally forgot how old I was.
Yeah, I said it. Someone, we were like at a party or something, and Ashley and I were conversing with someone else, and they said something about like, how old are you or this and that, and I said it, and Ashley's like, that is not how old you are. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. It's like, crap, that's right. I am not that. I'm the wrong age.
She said that with the quickness. I will say my grandma.
She was calling the assisted living home at that point. She's like, he's already losing his marbles.
No, my grandma went to the doctor. I want to say this was a couple years ago, and she's hilarious. And she told the doctor she was actually a year older than she was. And the doctor is doing a double take, like, wait a second, you're not this old. She's going,
That's the reverse Danny Almonte. From
Yeah,
Little
and
League
she's going, well,
Baseball.
I guess I'm not, doctor. I got a little ahead of myself there. And so she's just living.
Last time I thought I was, I tried to be older than I was when, you're trying to buy alcohol before 21.
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I haven't been asked that in years.
Trying to find
How
a
old I
Southside
am.
liquor store near you
Like,
and
you're
campus,
still
right?
getting carded there, Mark?
I wish.
Some Colts position battles to watch. Also, Rick Carlisle was asked about if he thinks the Bucks and the Pacers are a rivalry. We'll play that upcoming as well. This is the Fan Morning Show right here on a Wednesday.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We'll get more into the events around WNBA All-Star Weekend coming up a little bit later in the 9 o'clock hour. Joey Graciano from the Pacers does great work over there. He will join us to get you set for what will be a busy week here in downtown Indianapolis. Caitlin Clark did mention pregame last night, James, that she, even though she's not the player rep from a CBA standpoint for the Fever, she will be a part of those meetings coming up on Thursday. Again, it's a huge bargaining time for where the new CBA is going to be from a league standpoint with the Players Association. So it makes sense that the needle would be in those meetings, but she kind of confirmed that yesterday pregame. Again, the Fever play tonight. I would say Caitlin Clark's status very much up in the air after she was grimacing with that right groin injury late last night. So if any news breaks, we'll certainly deliver that to you. We'll talk some Colts upcoming with Jake Arthur from SI around 8:30 here. All right, what would be our tiebreaker, and all jokes aside, but what would be our tiebreaker in the Pro Bowl? So last night...
How do you say all jokes aside? And we're talking about the Pro Bowl. The entire experience is...
So last night we got a tie in the MLB All-Star game. We had a swing-off. It was electric. Kyle Schwarber delivered, as you would expect. We talked earlier if the NBA had a tie in their All-Star game. We said one-on-one, three dribble one-on-one. That could be tremendous. You imagine having to put in an envelope the player before the game starts? I believe they do that in the Ryder Cup, Mark, for those familiar from a golf scene standpoint. This had been way back, but in the President's Cup, which is U.S. versus international players, non-Europe division, you had Tiger Woods and Ernie Els in a playoff back in South Africa. I think it was like 2003 maybe. It was absolutely electric. So what would we do in the Pro Bowl?
Oklahoma drill.
With only quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I
can never get hit until now.
You know what? Let's settle this, Lamar Jackson.
Can you imagine
Josh Allen?
Quentin Nelson
really
versus Aaron Donald?
Oh, Lord.
How glorious that would be.
That's a lot of meat right there.
It would wouldn't it have to be a kicker competition?
Just saying. Some thick boys coming to town.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Mark's going to have to clip that himself. We have our
What'd
files. You got to make sure you put your own file together. But I don't know what else I would really want to see. I mean,
kickoff. Is that the safest, most
kickoff safest?
Kickoff for what, though?
No. A kickoff. Like you're Matt Gay and I'm Spencer
boy, I
Schrader.
can't think of a more lame thing to decide the Pro Bowl.
I mean, what else would you do? What is one singular play that you could actually do?
No, I thought you meant kickoff.
Are you going to play the
like,
2-point conversion game? Is it going to be like college football after the second overtime? Are we going to do that?
I do like that aspect of college football. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a hater of the extended overtimes.
Ooh, I think you're kind of in the minority of that.
I know. I feel like I am.
Would more people rather see the 25-yard line, or would more people rather see the? What did we get? Was it Georgia Tech last year where we got the million 2-point conversions? Was that the game?
Yeah. Well, if they did a kickoff, would it be like 50-yarders?
I kind of like where the kicker names his yardage.
Oh, like call your shot, basically?
Yeah.
Someone in the YouTube chat said kickoff with a non-kicker. Or Chad Ochocinco attempted an extra point years ago. Actually made it. That wouldn't be bad.
I like that.
It's not going to be good, though. That's my thing. I don't know if the NFL has a
between swing off and King of the Hill and the NBA.
If you get that dude from who's the dude from the Chiefs that kicks off for him? Justin Reed? Didn't he literally kick off for him last year?
Yeah.
Terry's asking why the AL didn't use Aaron Judge last night. Did the players have to be in the game? I didn't totally follow because we didn't get the best home run hitters.
I'm not so sure, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules were.
We didn't get Raleigh. We didn't get James Wood. Well, I don't know even know if all those guys were, Wood. Raleigh was definitely in the game. I believe when Clayton Kershaw was mic'd up, he had a shot at the old Big Dumper.
Big Dumper is quite the name.
Not Schwarber, Kershaw. Is Kershaw retiring? Is that why they did that all last night? Did I miss this?
I'm not so sure that he's made an announcement, but it seemed to me like the swan song.
Well, because they did one with
whatever.
Freddie Freeman too. I don't know. It's kind of, is that just a way to like create a standing ovation?
I guess, but I'm. So, are you okay with that? Like the legacy All-Star selection. Kobe got one late in his career. I don't really care. I'm thinking if you either earn it or you don't, we'll still honor you. Like the game's not gonna forget Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, I'm probably in that boat. I think you should earn it within that given season. I hate to take that spot away from a guy. I don't know, just add an extra spot.
Yeah.
Colts position battle, James. Non-quarterback, non-kicker. Quarterback and kicker are legit position battles. If I took those two off the board, the one that you think matters the most or is real?
Who is your other starting cornerback? Because I think the two that are locks would be Kenny Moore in the slot and then Shavarius Ward on the outside. Who's your other outside cornerback? Now, I know Lou Anarumo might play more than 3 cornerbacks, but still, for the sake of this argument, is it Jalen Jones, who showed that he, I believe, is a starting caliber cornerback in this league? Do you go Justin Wally, who the Colts believe he can play some outside as well? Is Sam Womack in that mix? Juju Brent's still, in that room as well. So who is your third starting cornerback?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I don't think that's a position battle I would have thought was on the board until I watched the spring offseason program.
Right. That's what got me kind of thinking about it.
First off, I think Jalen Jones deserves some credit here. I don't think he's just a nice 7th-round pick. I think he's a nice corner.
No, he can play.
In this league.
He can play.
But he missed the final couple weeks of the spring offseason program.
Mm-hmm.
That gave Justin Wally, the 3rd-round pick out of Minnesota, some very quality starting reps. And by all accounts, he turned some heads.
Yeah.
So
we heard Lou and Shane both praise him.
And Shane individually praised him when not even asked about him, which is very rare for Shane Steichen. So I think that's a great point that you bring up of that is a position battle that I would not like. It's not as obvious as kicker or, center, for example,
right?
Is a pretty legit position battle. And we know in today's NFL, playing a third corner is pretty much like playing, a normal defense with how much, teams utilize that personnel grouping. So I would go there. Again, going back to center, in the spring, we saw Tanner Bortolini. Again, Ryan Kelly's off in Minnesota. So Tanner Bortolini, 4th-round pick out of Wisconsin last year, he would have one day with the starters, and then the next day it would be Danny Pinter, the former 5th-round pick out of Ball State. That might be the most 1v1 position battle, literally flip-flopping days.
Yeah.
And so how long does that play out? Think about Pinter.
Chirp, chirp.
Chirp, chirp. Shout out to Dill Street. Every year he has been healthy in the league. He started games for the Colts. And late last season, I think it was the Denver game, when Bortolini was back healthy and Ryan Kelly was still out, it was Pinter that they went with starting for him. Now, part of me is like, you don't draft a center in round 4 and not think he's your starting center, so I assume it will be Bortolini, but that is another one. That's probably the only other one on offense I see. Quarterback and center, and I guess playing time at tight end. That's about it for me.
Yeah, but even in playing time at tight end, Tyler Warren, you ready to play every snap?
Well, yeah, but who's your second? I mean, you obviously play multiple tight ends.
Yeah.
And I do think internally the Colts, they might not admit it publicly, but I think there is a little bit of Tyler Warren as a blocker. We'll see.
I think it's going to be Tyler Warren and Mo Alley Cox. 1 and 2.
It'll definitely be Tyler Warren. I'm just curious who's 2. Is it Drew Ogletree?
Yeah, possibly. I think it's Mo, though, honestly. Because I will give Mo his credit. He is a reliable blocker. And he does make the occasional catch that, flips the field. And to me, really, Mo hasn't been an issue. He's kind of just been who he is. The issue is that they've put him in the number 1 role when he's not number 1 tight end at all. But I'm not knocking him for that. He's an average player to me and probably a functional player on a team that has a little more talent around him. So.
Starting linebackers outside of Zaire Franklin?
No, I think it's definitely Jalen Carlisle.
Yeah.
Is that for sure?
Yeah, because I'm like, who else?
I know. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, I want to go there, Mark, and I thought about that. But in my mind, when I look at the actual roster and you read it out, you're like, all right, I get it. Jalen Carlisle started, maybe 7 games last year? I don't know. I know he missed, I believe, 7 games or 10 games.
Started a handful of games.
I feel like the rest of the linebacker group behind Zaire Franklin is like when you play like 5 years of Madden franchise and you get to like the players that are undrafted and like who are these made up players?
Creative
These
players.
don't seem real.
Well, remember I called the dude John and it's Joe, right?
Joe
Yesterday?
Bacci, yeah. Joe Bacci is definitely a year 5 franchise player.
And he's a special teamer.
Or
so
he's a reliever for the Louisville Bats.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
yeah, I'm looking. Jalen Carlisle started 6 games last year, played 10 games overall, and normally that wouldn't solidify you as a starter. But in that room, he's got more starts than, I believe, Segun Alubi in 1 year.
yeah, I'd say linebacker and safety are the 2 position groups that I'm like, whoa, where's the depth? And that's why I had Zaire Franklin second on the most indispensable list. Again, if I'm ranking the best players on the Colts team, Zaire Franklin is definitely not second. But when you read off the depth chart at linebacker and you think about installing a new defense and having the key communicator out there as much as possible, that's why, to me, Zaire Franklin would be out there. I think one thing to keep in mind defensively, and this is not only for playing time, but it's also for the futures of guys like Kwity Paye, or I'm trying to think of other guys that are potentially in like big, Nick Cross is in a contract year. Those sorts of guys. You now have a new key voice that is either A, deciding playing time, or B, is going to be in the ear of Chris Ballard or whoever is the future here at GM, assuming the coaching staff stays, of Louis Anarumo now calling the shots. So like you brought up earlier, James, the third corner. And you pretty much boiled it down to Jalen Jones and Justin Wally. Well, Jalen Jones was a draft pick of who? The previous defensive staff.
Yeah.
Justin Wally is a draft pick of this. Let's go to defensive end for a second. I would think defensive end has some playing time debate. I see 4 or 5 guys. I see Kwity Paye. I see Laiatu Latu. I see Samson Ebicom coming off a torn Achilles. I see Tyquan Lewis, when healthy, I think is a pretty productive player. And then also, in the second round, the Colts drafted JT Tuimoloau, and that's a dude that delivered on the highest stage last year. Ohio State's run to the national title, that dude was outstanding. 3-year starter at Ohio State. This is not some like project pass rusher. I think the thought there with Tuimoloau is he would come in here and be able to play and produce pretty early. So that's another one where I'm like, all right, again, on paper, you've got some other defensive ends, but also there's only one of them that Lou Anarumo and this defensive staff have drafted, and that's the kid from Ohio State. So how does that factor in?
That is a good point. I'm also, just side note, by the way, when is JT Tuimoloau going to sign his contract? I know a lot of these second-round picks haven't done it because they're trying to hold out for the fully guaranteed deals.
It's like 30 of the 32 haven't signed yet.
Yeah, but, I mean, is he going to be a camp participant without having the deal done? That is a question I do want to ask Chris Ballard a week from now, just to kind of clarify what's going on and if that's a factor. But to your point, Kevin, I mean, the way I look at this season, man, they need some sort of, someone to take a step forward, whether it's, is it Tuimoloau having a breakout season? Is it Laiatu being, I believe, my biggest breakout candidate? Something along those lines.
Eddie White chiming in here. He wants to have the owner of the football team throw a football. Whoever throws it further wins.
I actually don't hate that idea. That'd be pretty funny.
Carly or say Gordon winding it up there.
I feel like she'd have a cannon.
I guess in the
Settle
Pro
down
Bowl,
just a little bit.
Maybe you would use the owner of the coaching staffs of the AFC and the NFC there. That's maybe where you would have to go for that.
I feel like I trust her. She's walked enough sidelines to at least know how to throw a spiral. And I think that, in all honesty, some owners, like I can't picture Woody Johnson throwing a great ball.
How about punt, pass, and kick?
Oh, Andy Reid could do that. Didn't he do it back in the day?
Yeah, back in the day. Oh, God, there's one of the most amazing visuals of all time when they're like,
awesome.
Andy Reid's 12 years old. He looks like he's 37.
I feel like every Halloween I see one kid dressed up as Andy Reid, and it really warms my heart.
It is funny. Got the little mustache, get a little belly on you.
I need to find that video now. I haven't watched that in a while, but the Andy Reid punt, pass, kick thing is just visually, it is hilarious. He's like, everybody else on that list looks like they couldn't even get on like the teacup ride at Disney World. And he's on Space Mountain. He's buying beers.
That's the voice of Mark Dykton, Kevin Bowen, James Boyd. Again, all three of us with you the rest of this week and next. We'll be out at Grand Park Tuesday through Friday. Report day Tuesday, practices Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We kind of teased this Rick Carlisle audio a little bit earlier. Mark, go ahead and dial this up. How much of a rival would you consider the Milwaukee Bucks? Rick was on the Chris Long podcast. For those unfamiliar with Chris Long, very nice NFL career he had, a UVA product. So I think there's your Rick Carlisle connection there. Carlisle joined the pod and was asked specifically about the Bucks in typical Rick fashion. He, kind of turned that into Miles Turner as well.
We've played Milwaukee 20 times in 2 seasons. We played them, I think, 11 times last year, including the in-season tournament. And then this year we played them 9 or 10. It was 20 or 21. I forget what it was, because they're in the division. So that's 4 times. And then you play them in the playoffs. That's another 5 or 6 or 7 times, whatever it is. And so it was a lot. Look, losing Miles Turner is a significant loss for our team. I mean, the guy's been a terrific player. He had a great season. And look, we were talking to them, meaning his agent, about him returning. And, really kind of out of nowhere, Milwaukee decided to waive Damian Lillard and stretch his money out over whatever number of years you can do it by rule. And then they created space to sign Miles. And so I think what probably happened, and this is part of negotiation in any sport, a team will say, hey, look, we have this offer. It's this much over this many years. But if we make this offer, we need to know that you're going to take it and not shop it.
I still don't think the Pacers would have matched.
I think it's always easy to say what you would have paid for after the fact. And the bottom line is you don't have to match. You put the money up to begin with. So miss me with all of that. Just not interested in hearing that.
You see Carlisle's answer to Tony East yesterday.
I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was honestly more telling than everything else.
So I don't have the exact wording, but Tony caught up with Rick one-on-one out in Vegas, and Tony asked him, basically about the loss of Miles Turner. And
I have the exact quote.
Well, Rick's quote. I meant Tony's question. Tony said something effective again. What are you going to do at center? Rick's quote, James Boyd, was what?
We'll be fine. And I just died laughing.
That was a pretty good Rick Carlisle Tuesday at 8:08 impression from you.
Yes, and we texted about that because I was like, brother, I have been there. But here's Tony's full question for you being curious. Were you surprised to have lost Miles Turner? You've done a center by committee approach before. How do you expect that to go for the Pacers this year? Carlisle will be fine. Now, for those who are interested, I would encourage you to go read the entire interview or the entire Q&A that Tony got, exclusive interview at Summer League. It's on Forbes.com. And one of the funniest parts about that, Kevin, is throughout the entire piece, you have these longer answers from Rick Carlisle with more context and color and more energy. And that's the one answer where he's like, that's all you get. And I was thinking, that kind of spoke some volumes to me.
Would Tony East get the same shout out from Rick Carlisle like he did from Miles Turner if the roles were different?
I don't know about that. Derek in the YouTube chat, do you think the Pacers are a bit relieved they didn't get a chance to match? They can always say they would have. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, you save face.
The Pacers are the good cop.
Yeah.
In this.
We didn't get a chance. What do you want from us?
Yeah.
Right.
We never had the opportunity.
Exactly.
It's like the hold me back
time
guy.
to, get out of there.
That's right, Rick.
That's usually what people say about Vegas after a few days, right?
Yep.
Pacers will actually have an extended stay in Vegas. They'll play tomorrow. I think it's 4:30 against the Knicks. That's ESPN 2. And then Friday, 9 o'clock. That is their last game there against the Pelicans. I believe that's ESPN. And again, as we talked about a little earlier in the show, at this point of Summer League, you typically get some of your top guys that no longer play. For example, we only saw Quentin Jackson in Game 1. Johnny Furphy's played 3 times. We'll see if he gets a 4th. I can't imagine he'd get a 4th and a 5th. And I'd like to selfishly see the draft picks a little bit more. And I'd like to see the kid from Nebraska, Tominaga.
I want to see the faces of those guys.
Yeah, I want to see him too. 2 games left. Let's roll.
That was one of the funniest moments of the season, man, because he was dead serious.
Gosh, that was awesome.
He said that again, walking off of the podium and looking right back at me. And I'm like, Rick, I cannot do that, brother. I'm so sorry. But yes, to your point, I would like to see him on the Summer League team as well because he can shoot that thing.
He's on it. He just
I'm not Summer League team.
in.
I mean, get in and also get in with the Noblesville Boom. Is that who
yes.
you're calling them now? So that's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Boom. Much more to get to on a morning check down. Let's do it.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, we got Colts conversation with Jake Arthur. Does a very nice job covering the Colts for SI. Sits right next to James Boyd and I in the Colts media room. We'll have that here in 10. But, James, let's begin up in, I guess, Boston, which, the New England area has never been too kind to our sports teams. And last night, while the Fever did get a win, an injury was suffered late, and that was Caitlin Clark, grimacing probably the most I've ever seen her in her very young professional career or even her days at Iowa. Again, not much injury history at all. But for those that missed it, could you describe the scene last night there in the final 30 seconds?
Yes, she makes a backdoor pass to Kelsey Mitchell for a layup and then kind of comes up lame and was clutching at her right groin, and you can see the tears well up in her eyes. She puts a towel over her head as she goes to the bench, and just immediate concern for her and the team, really, without her. So it was just a tough scene to watch unfold, and I really do feel for Caitlin because on top of the injury, it's just she deals with a lot. And I feel like basketball is like her escape, and when that isn't your escape and it's kind of another problem for you, I can only imagine how much that kind of weighs on your mental health.
Can the Fever get the win? Natasha Howard, Kelsey Mitchell, very good. Sophie Cunningham, quality minutes off the bench. But, in terms of the big storyline, it is certainly Caitlin Clark and her health. The Fever will play tonight. That is in the Barclays Center against the Liberty. Much bigger step up in competition. And if you just read body language, Caitlin Clark is not playing tonight. And I would say her availability in question for the All-Star weekend is very much up in the air. I'd be curious what that secondary ticket market looked like and now looks like.
Yeah, it certainly changed. It has to have changed by a lot because she is the draw. And
on both nights because she announced yesterday
absolutely.
She'd be in the 3-point contest.
Yeah, and I say that with respect to all the other players, but we all know who people come to see.
Amen to that. All right, last night over on Fox, it was the MLB All-Star game, and you got some great theater if you stayed up for it. The NL was up 6-0. The AL slowly clawed back, tied it up. In the top of the ninth, it went to a swing-off, and that is where Kyle Schwarber did Kyle Schwarber type thing. So each league sent up 3 players for the swing-off, and you got 3 swings each. Schwarber was the second NL batter to go, and at that point, they were down 3-1. Schwarber hits a no-doubter to center, a no-doubter to right center, and then falling to a knee, an absolute smoked line drive over the right field wall. Just vintage Kyle Schwarber. Is he a Hall of Famer?
I would say no. This is me very...
I know nothing, by the way, about baseball.
I'm very, I guess, a novice when it comes to baseball. But just knowing how hard it is to get into the Hall of Fame in that sport compared to the Basketball Hall of Fame, and I think the NFL's probably a step lower than the Baseball Hall of Fame when it comes to access. So... to me, baseball might be is it the hardest Hall of Fame to get into? Because these guys are tough.
I think it's the weirdest Hall of Fame to get into.
Okay, that's fair.
There's so much drama around it.
Yeah.
Can they add a wing to Cooperstown and put entertaining Hall of Famers and put Kyle Schwarber in that? He's very entertaining, is he not?
He is. He definitely is.
He's already 4th all time on postseason home run lists.
Ooh, so now you're making a case for him.
Yeah.
How many career home runs for Kyle Schwarber, Mark?
Career home runs or career postseason?
Career homers.
Jeez, I don't know.
Let's go there. Can you look that up?
I'm looking at it right now. Let's see.
Major League Baseball by the way.
313.
I was
as of last week.
I was thinking he needed more in the 400-ish range. Interesting. Probably no. There's probably a lot of baseball people out there that are like
3-time All-Star.
That might be the dumbest comment Kevin Bowen's ever made. TBT action this weekend over at Hinkle. So that's alumni teams for Butler. I love some Kamar Baldwin action. Back on that Butler team. You want to talk about a dude that could get a bucket for them. Shelvin Mack really dialing it back there. for the Bulldogs. You guys had James Blackman Jr. on last week. Indiana will have a team in that. So, again, it's an 8-team regional at Hinkle, Saturday afternoon. Very busy schedule. You can find out that info and attend games there. I think Butler and Indiana, if they won, they would advance to play each other in the semifinals of that regional. This is the $1 million winner-take-all TBT tournament. You know the team that won it in the first overall year?
I do not.
The Irish.
Oh.
They hang a banner for that one? They had to, right? One of the few that's in that
so
arena.
What the hell does that mean, Mark?
That's so rude.
Rude?
I do. It's rude, but also factual.
Pathetic. But have you seen their women's program, Mark?
I have.
Multiple national title banners in there.
We're talking men's, I thought.
We are talking men's.
Couple of nice Elite 8 runs. For the
I will
men's.
say, better team name, Kevin. I was able to ask Jeff and Mark this last week, but for the Indiana alumni team, it's Assembly Ball.
I love that name.
And then for the Butler alumni team, it is All Good Dogs.
Which I think All Good Dogs is like their NIL collective.
Well, if it's been gentrified by NIL, I'm going to Assembly Ball.
Yeah, Assembly Ball's pretty good.
Ugh, yuck.
I did hear the Butler, their alumni team is going to have a legit practice against their real team. I'm like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea. You can kind of open that to the fan base. You know how many rabid IU fans would attend watching their former IU players practice against the Wilkerson kid and Tucker DeVries if he's healthy, and
I need OG to come back. OG.
Well,
it's time.
I think you got to draw the line somewhere.
Thomas Bryant, it's time.
Speaking of OG, Toronto race coming up this weekend for IndyCar. Scott Dixon, some great history there. Colton Herta, the defending champ. All right, Colts conversation on the other side. Jake Arthur covers the Colts alongside myself and James Boyd. He will join us next.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Is this some Jake Arthur walk-up music, do you think, James Wood?
I think so. I have talked to Jake about rap music, and I believe he, knows a thing or two about Biggie.
I could see this for sure. Jake Arthur covers the Colts, Locked On Colts. So you think about Tony East, Locked On Pacers, Locked On Colts. Him and Zach Hicks, a great listen SI where you can find written content. He also sits pretty much next to you and I in the Colts media room. Jake, who do you prefer? Who's the cleaner? Who's the better seat mate in the Colts media room? James Boyd or Kevin Bowen?
You know what? Well, number one, I'm more of a Tupac guy. I'll be honest with you guys. But between the two, you both have your best qualities. But let's just be honest that we all get the gift of being next to Bob Kravitz a lot of the time. Let's point that out.
Well, and that means usually being like, okay, how do you connect to the internet? Does anyone have an extra pen?
That is the God honest truth right there. Oh my goodness!
You haven't lived in the Colts media room if you haven't helped Bob out.
And for me, it's the AirPods. Every time I see Bob, his AirPods aren't working. I had him on my podcast, Jake. I want to say about a week ago, and I was like, "Hey, you got your headphones? You're going to be able to plug those in?" He's like, "Well, I think they're dead." And I'm like, "You know what? That sounds like you, Bob." So to pivot a bit here to more serious and I guess pressing things. We were debating earlier, Jake, what is the Colts' biggest offseason move as far as personnel when it comes to players and coaches, because we know obviously a big move was the change in ownership. But in your opinion, biggest Colts offseason move is what?
So I think Louis Anarumo is a biggie. That's definitely a big one because for how rough last season went overall, you got to think if the defense didn't lay as many eggs, they may have been a lot closer to being, north of 500 and being even more competitive. And, the Giants game was rough and everything. But I think the things that will make the biggest difference is Louis Anarumo. I think they definitely needed what the Colts are looking for there, which is, just not such static defenses. It's going to switch things up a lot. I think the veterans that are there will probably appreciate kind of the newness of things and getting to do new things. But then Tyler Warren on the other side, we really haven't seen Shane Steichen be able to utilize an offense that doesn't have to piecemeal together a tight end room. And now they have one guy that can kind of do everything they need and more, because as far as tight end usage goes, Tyler Warren was kind of a unicorn at Penn State. Like, tight ends just do not get used the way he was used. So on either side of the ball, I think the Tyler Warren addition and Louis Anarumo, I think that's those things are going to make a world of difference.
He's the pride of Brownsburg. He's Jake Arthur, covers for the Colts. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. If I put quarterback and kicker to the side, Jake, position battle you care the most about is where?
That is a good one. So, man, I'm very interested to see how the defensive end pecking order goes. That's definitely one thing. But I also think all of us have this feeling that the Colts want to find any way possible to get Justin Wally on the field. So I think we all think Latu is probably going to shoe in to start there, but we know they really like Samson Ebukam. They like Tyquan Lewis. So I want to see how the defensive end rotation shakes out. But I also do want to see how long Jalen Jones can fend off a guy like Justin Wally, or if, Juju Brents is able to finally stay healthy for a summer if they find a way to get him involved. So I definitely think defensive end and cornerback are ones I want to keep a strong eye on throughout the summer.
You think center is a real competition with Tanner Bortolini and Danny Pinter?
In theory, but I just can't really see an avenue where Danny Pinter really takes it. I think, as a veteran, they feel he's done well enough to where maybe they don't owe it to him to compete for that, but he's earned it, I guess you could say. But otherwise, why did they draft Tanner Bortolini last year? I think we all thought that he was supposed to be the heir apparent to Ryan Kelly, and now Ryan Kelly is gone. So, Tanner Bortolini, for what I saw, looked pretty good last year in his limited action. So it's kind of like, what are we doing here if Tanner Bortolini isn't your starting center?
So, Jake, this is kind of the off the beaten path before I get back to the serious questions, but what's the one player in the draft you're still wishing the Colts had drafted Because for those listening, every time we're in the draft room, it could be the last round on the last day.
He's got some audible groans.
There's going to be a selection made by a different team, and Jake's going to be like, I liked that guy. So
Oh, yeah.
who's the guy you're still, waking up in a cold sweat like, oh, my gosh, the Colts should have got him?
Well, there was two guys in the second round I really think they could have maybe moved around for a little bit. That's Carson Schlesinger, who got taken a lot earlier than I think anyone thought, like right there at the second by Cleveland. I think the Colts probably thought he might be in play for them later on in the middle there. But Donovan Ezeraku as well, defensive end from who got drafted by the Cowboys. He's basically everything that Ballard ever looked for in a defensive end, and was kind of a newer, fresher, maybe more impactful version of what Yannick Ngakoue was able to give you. So I thought those were two guys that I really, really thought the Colts could have come away with. But I think Tyler Warren going to them in the first round kind of eased any issues overall in the entire draft. Because I think you think about how is the draft going to go, and it's if they miss their tight end in the first round, then who do they go for? So Tyler Warren going to them in at 14 was, I think that eased a lot of tensions, because then you kind of have to start doing the board where you're putting all the lines together, and you're going crazy trying to figure out how they're going to make this work. But Tyler Warren going to them really kind of solidified any issues I think were going to transpire there in the draft early on.
So now that I've gotten that out of the way, by the way, if those two players end up being ballers, I'm going to look at Jake Arthur and be like, you should be in the Colts draft room. But now that I've gotten that out of the way, I was kind of setting you up for the inevitable quarterback question.
Mm-hmm.
Who's starting week 1, Jake?
So I think when I think about who is going to start, the least mental gymnastics I have to do is if it's Daniel Jones that starts. Because with Anthony Richardson, like, obviously there's a reason they've been patient with him. We've all seen why they're still giving him a chance and everything, despite the injuries and despite being benched. But at a certain point, the last couple years were about his development. They wanted to win, of course, but like everything was about kind of developing Anthony and seeing where it goes. But it just seems like they have to win now at all costs, and it's kind of up to everybody to either sink or swim. So while I do think it would be good for them if Anthony Richardson won the job and everything, I don't think they feel like it has to happen. I think Daniel Jones, for the issues he's had in New York, I at least think week to week the Colts would be able to craft a game plan and know what to expect from it. Because with Anthony, you just quite literally never know what you're going to get week to week. Now, the injuries are probably the bigger issue for me, honestly, because that's really tough to overcome from the quarterback position. And it's not like it's been one nagging thing. It's been like 4 or 5 things that have caused them to miss games at this point. And I just think if there's any position that you can't just sit there and wonder what's going to happen every week, it's quarterback. And like, yes, Anthony Richardson, his talent level is just leaps and bounds above a lot of guys in the league. But with Daniel Jones, it might be a little more boring, but he's going to spread the ball around. You might have a little more rhythm to the offense. He is a little more mobile. He's a couple years removed from his ACL now. So I just think all things involved in how this offense is constructed, they have a strong running game. They bolstered the backfield. I just think they're probably going to be able to accomplish what they want to a little easier with Daniel Jones.
He is Jake Arthur. He's with us here. You can follow Jake on Twitter. That is Jake Arthur NFL over on that app. Jake, we'll end with this. James and I had a debate earlier this week, kind of Colts with the most pressure on them this season.
I won the debate.
You could, easily. You could label it, the most to prove. Obviously, Anthony Richardson appeared 1 on our list. If I could eliminate Richardson and Daniel Jones, the Colts player with the most pressure on them is who?
I would say Latu's got to be up there because I think there's a lot riding on his development right now. They didn't do a ton to the defensive line this offseason. They added JT Tuimoloau. That was kind of to replace what they lost Diodingo. And then Samson Ekcom, they're confident he can bounce back, but we've obviously all had our concerns how a 30-year-old guy who is very reliant on explosions is going to recover from an Achilles injury. So there's a lot riding on Latu taking another leap and being that, 10-plus sack guy, the guy that disrupts the backfield consistently. So obviously taking those quarterbacks away, I would say Latu is probably the guy with the most pressure.
He is Jake Arthur. He covers the Colts for SI. Again, Locked on Colts. Him and Zach Hicks, a wonderful listen. And correcting our earlier mistake, Tupac would be where he would go on the re-entry next time. Mark Dykton has jotted that down. Jake, great to hear your voice. Enjoy the final few quiet days, and we will see you on Tuesday in Westfield.
Absolutely, boys. Look forward to spending basically the entire summer with you from here on out.
I don't know if he really means that. Thank you, Jake.
Oh, I do. See you guys.
You think he really means that?
I think he likes us more than the Roosters out there that are ruining his podcast.
He is a very good dude, but I just don't know if he really means that.
Yeah. Well, everyone loves me, so.
Thank you to Jake Arthur.
I speak about you, Kevin.
Easy now. Boy, the ego's rivaling Jake Query at this point here. The latest on Caitlin Clark and what would be best case scenario for the Pacers. We'll hit on that next.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, in studio coming up around 9:30, little WNBA All-Star weekend preview. What are the events around the Friday night skills competition and Saturday game? Joey Graciano from the Pacers and the Fever is going to come over and join us. Used to be with the NBA, was huge in the bubble, and had him in studio back in the NBA All-Star game. And the Simons are so impressed with him, Pacers organization back then, they decided to hire him. Very gifted individual. He's on the Sports Business Journal 40 Under 40, which is a pretty exclusive group there. So he'll join us in studio
I just missed
here.
the cut, apparently.
I need you guys both to be on the cover.
Upcoming. Mark, you got one more year left to potentially be on it. Is that right?
I got one more year of eligibility. I'm trying to use a COVID year if possible.
Speaking of that, we did see that I believe Luke Goody announced that he got his 5th year denied, so his career is now finished for
So it's him and
basketball.
Anthony Leal, right? We're both trying to see if they had any extra eligibility, and really, in a lot of these cases, I think it's worked out for these guys getting the extra years. I don't know now in the year of 2025, we've simply just run out with that. So, yes, the new look Indiana Hoosiers for Darren DeVries will certainly be there coming up this year. They'll go on a 4-and tour, I believe, in a couple weeks. Puerto Rico, I want to say, is where they're headed. So, much needed for the extra practice time for a new look roster and a couple game actions that they'll get as well.
You still disgusted by the football version's non-conference schedule?
I am. Yes, I remain disgusted by it. And for anyone out there that wants to say, you're a Notre Dame fan, how can you talk about Notre Dame had I believe, the 3rd hardest schedule in all of college football last season? And look at Notre Dame's schedule this year.
Semantics.
Your Reds apparently have the toughest second half baseball season schedule, by the way.
I did hear that. I don't know if I like that.
Cubs have the easiest, apparently. I don't know if I believe that either.
But it's one of those things where the Reds probably need to beat some of those teams to get in the playoffs. So, hey, might as well play them. Let's do a little Fever Focus. Fever Focus brought to you after every game by Payless Liquors. Get more Payless at Payless Liquors. James Boyd, we can begin on the floor. The Fever did win last night, 85-77. They pulled away from the lowly Connecticut Sun late in that game on the road. Kelsey Mitchell with 20, Natasha Howard 18. I thought Sophie Cunningham, nice minutes off the bench. But Caitlin Clark, not only did she struggle on the floor, 4 of 14, 1 of 7 from 3, but she went, I shouldn't say she went down, but she appeared to get hurt late in the game. It was actually probably her brightest scoring spark that she's had in quite some time. She had scored 9 straight, finally hit a 3 away from home in that stretch, but on a backdoor pass to Kelsey Mitchell, as she jogged down the floor, really iced the game with about 30 seconds to go. She was grimacing, holding kind of that right groin area. At one point, she kind of gave the basketball stanchion a bit of a headbutt.
Yep.
That padded support, and then put a towel over her face. And if I could read body language, she was pretty emotional as well. So no update after the game. But again, if actions could speak, that did not look good. And I would say her status for tonight and Friday's 3-point contest and Saturday's All-Star game appear to be in question.
Yeah, this is when, depending on what you get from the evaluation, I'm assuming she's going to get probably the scans and the MRIs and everything else. But whenever you get the results back, there has to be some sort of decision to shut her down, probably, because she's just too valuable. And I know that might mess up your outlook for this season, but we're talking about, a player in her 2nd year who obviously is the biggest star in the sport and a very good player when she is healthy, and she hasn't been healthy really since the season started, because if you remember, Kevin, she missed one of their preseason games dealing with a leg injury. So this has been a constant thing.
Has it been hamstring, quad, and now both groins? Is that correct?
That sounds right, yes.
Right, in the last 2 months.
And again, all of those are non-contact sort of issue, soft tissue injuries. And I just feel for her. I really do. And like I said in the first hour of this show, I have never seen Caitlin look that emotional in a dejected way. Like, we know she gets fiery and she's very emotional towards refs, like most of us are, but that was a different sort of vibe that I got from her.
You and I talked about this in late June. I wanted to see her sit out through the All-Star break. I know that takes a lot of the air out of the balloon around what is such a unique event that's in our city, and I understand there's ramifications of that, but it just, the soft tissue stuff and She wanted to come back earlier. The fever held her out. I mean, just that push and pull is just not good for someone dealing with injuries, really for the first time in her basketball career. So we'll see what the latest is. Obviously, we'll keep you posted throughout today. Not to act like New York City's the only place for it, but the fact that they are in New York City today, where did Tyrese Halliburton have his surgery? New York City. Obviously, there are some well-known medical people in that city. You would think that if something needs to get checked out, she could probably do that today in some capacity. As they take on the Liberty tonight, 7:30, CBS Sports Network. You can hear that on our airwaves.
I'm imagining seeing Caitlin Clark in an express med. Clark, Caitlin, you're next.
She ain't waiting in line.
Check. Yeah,
that's for sure.
Urgent care.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you kind of rise up from the. No, we met the other Caitlin. Over there. In the back. 9 o'clock hour. What's the best case scenario for the Pacers? Maybe the brain of Mark Dykton will also share some thoughts. We'll do that upcoming.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Again, the brain of Mark Dykton here in a few with an I Gotta Know. Got a couple people asking some questions in regards to Caitlin Clark and, that injury last night. Again, grimacing, kind of reaching for that right groin. James, her big focus this offseason was put on some muscle, right?
Yes.
Kind of the wear, she had played really 12 straight months of basketball. If you go back to her final season at Iowa, remember they played that game in Kinnick Stadium. They played the game in the football stadium.
Yeah.
Like in October. And then the WNBA season, of course, happens pretty much right after the draft and the Final Four. The WNBA has a very weird calendar for collegiate players coming right into the league. So really it was her first time off. That a handful of months off she had, and a big focus for her was, again, putting on some weight. So I don't know. Medically, I couldn't be more, frankly, illiterate. I no idea if putting on that muscles contributed to that or what. I just know she played a ton of basketball in a 12-month stretch. She then, for the first time in her career, had a lot of time off. And I do think there's been some discrepancies in when she has wanted to return versus when the Fever have wanted her to return this year. I think the Fever have honestly wanted to play the long game a little bit more, and knowing the competitor Caitlin is, I don't know, maybe that's kind of caught up to her.
Well, as a show that likes to try to give you solid information, I believe Tony East had a post last night where he talked about injuries being up for the entire league, not just here in Indianapolis with Caitlin Clark, and Sophie Cunningham missed some time this year and others. But I believe it has a lot to do with this condensed schedule that they have. They're playing 44 games this year, which is the most they've ever played in WNBA history.
I thought last year was condensed because of the Olympics. Did I miss this?
Yeah, but I guess the pushback to that would be, well, a lot of players got a lot of time off because of the Olympic gap. And obviously we saw that Caitlin Clark benefited from that because she looked so fresh after that break and played so well after that break. Whereas this year, you're going straight through. There is no Olympic break. So I think that might be more of the issue, to your point, Kevin, about her schedule and how much basketball she's played. Long time off, and you come right back into it, and you're playing the most games you ever played probably in your life in one season. So, we'll probably get a better explanation later on. I would love to hear Caitlin's perspective, further down the line. Perhaps this is the conversation we have in the offseason, exit interview, something like that. But for the here and now, it's just a tough situation for her to be in.
If you want to play out the calendar for the Fever, again, right now the standings are rather jumbled, like 3 through 9.
Yeah, aren't the Fever like 6th, I believe?
Yeah, going into last night. That's pretty tight. But again, how the WNBA does is just top 8 teams out of the, 13-team league?
Yes.
Make the playoffs. Now, after the All-Star break, you've got a little less than 2 months of the season. They will actually only play one game in the first 6 days after the All-Star break. They have the Liberty Wednesday. They have the Wednesday tonight. Being the Liberty. They have the Liberty next Tuesday. Then they have Vegas on Thursday. Then they don't play again until Sunday. So, again, where can you find the gap in the schedule? I mean, if you wanted to, you could sit her for, a month, and you would still have a month left in the regular season. Like, it's not like you'd be in a horrific spot. So, something to keep an eye on. We'll obviously keep you posted throughout the day. We'll talk more about WNBA All-Star Weekend, all the events around it. Even if you don't have tickets to Friday or Saturday night, still plenty to do. Downtown Convention Center, as always, will be very busy. I know the Fever have like a festival related activities as well. So hopefully Mother Nature cooperates for the outdoor activities for that. So Convention Center will be very, very busy as well. Then they've got a FeverFest, some concerts and comedy, followed by a watch party for those that do not have a ticket to the game. You can attend that as well. So we'll get more. Joey Graciano from Pacers Sports and Entertainment will join us in studio here in about 20. Mark Dykton, let's get into your brain.
He's got questions.
How about a game?
They've got answers.
Hey, I'm more of a cornhole man myself.
Sports, music, movies.
What?
High fashion.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
And everything in between.
You ever seen a foot with 4 toes?
It's time to get a glimpse into the mind of Mark Dykton.
Stop it, you're scaring me.
It's time for I Gotta Know.
Okay, you punks, I want a good, clean fight. Let's get it on.
All right, boys. Colts camp is not too far away, so let's get into a couple Colts specific questions I have for you. Will either quarterback be named a captain for the team this season?
Ooh, that is a good question. That's a great question.
Man. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Anthony Richardson, captain last year by default, right? I mean, how many starting quarterbacks in the league aren't a captain? Let me go there. Can I spin it on you guys?
Ooh, I'm going to say yes. One of them will be, whoever starts week 1 will be the captain, because
season long, or is this going to be like we vote by the week?
You can't. I mean, if they didn't take the C off Anthony Richardson's chest last year for him, whatever he was doing, not showing up as promptly as they would like, then I can't imagine they're going to go week to week.
I think they get a C on the chest, mainly because if they don't, it becomes a talking point for people like us on the radio.
It's just like if you play quarterback, you have to be the captain. It almost seems like that's what. And
you're doomed from the start if you don't.
Haven't the Colts had 1 million captains too? Didn't they have like 7 or 8?
They usually pick like a couple from each.
So yes,
group.
I will go with James. I will say the starter will be.
Lord, if they don't name a captain at quarterback, just cancel the season.
They call it player vote, but I could see Shane Steichen stepping in at that point.
All right, true or false? Bernard Ryman will sign a contract extension before week 1.
I'll say true.
I'll say false, because it depends on if he wants to sign it.
Mm-hmm.
He might be thinking, if I can get to free agency and stay healthy this year, I can get even more. So he doesn't have to sign anything.
You think there's any chance Carly Gordon steps in and says, you know what? No future money is going out until I see what happens this year.
See, I don't hate that thinking, but I'm also like, you got to pay the left tackle.
Bernard Ryman's really good at football, and no matter who your GM is,
because his position. If you told me he was
I get that. Yeah.
I don't know if he was safety, then maybe you don't pay him, but you got to pay left tackles.
And the thing about Ryman too, do any of you guys have his bio up? How old is he?
He's 27.
Okay, I was even thinking he might be older than that, because he was a really old draft pick.
Yeah, I believe he will turn 28 here pretty soon. 28 in September.
I think he was a 25-year-old rookie. Obviously Austria, where he grew up, and then, played at whatever it was, Central Michigan, Western Michigan, one of the two. And like I said earlier in the week, I think he's the best Chris Bauer draft pick, frankly, when you consider where he was drafted and how he's turned out. But I bring up his age just to say that second contract is going to be very big for him. When you think about offensive linemen, some of them can get to that third deal. Not that like 32 is a death sentence for offensive linemen by any means, but Ryman does not strike me as someone that's uber greedy. It's not like he knows a whole lot about the U.S. The Midwest is what he really knows from a college standpoint, so you would think there would be appeal there. But having said that, this could be like his big and his real only major payday. So, third round pick, not like you're making a ton of money. So a couple factors there, but I'll say they'll get something done.
What is a sporting event that is considered a big deal that you just can't get into? Like for me, it's Wimbledon and basically any tennis major. I'm not a big tennis guy. I just can't get into it. Never have. I don't think I ever will. What about you guys?
Prior to this year, I probably would have said the 500, but after going, I thought that was a really cool experience. It's probably somewhere in the golf realm for me. I thought
bite your tongue. Kevin's gonna fight you.
No. I mean this sincerely. I thought this past year's Masters was awesome, like the finish and the ending. But I'll be honest, like I won't sit up and watch the first shot at the Masters or whatever. I feel like I would have to come into the show and obviously read about it and then hear, okay, who's doing what, and towards the end I would tune in.
You're going to see Kevin in a degenerate form starting tomorrow with the Open.
I was going to say, Mark Dykton, this TV needs to be on.
I know.
When we walk in the studio.
I will get scolded immediately. I'll get the Kevin Bowen raised eyebrows and slap on the wrist if it's not turned on.
If I said the Tour de France, would Jeff Red Eye at home and all of a sudden, have a...
No, I'm with you.
Would I be off this show for the rest of...
Yeah, I don't think I've ever watched
for the rest of the way.
When he talks cycling, my eyes kind of starts closing slowly. I go into REM sleep.
All I know is who's the guy who did all the doping?
Oh, Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, that's
Live
all
strong,
I know
man.
Wasn't there a lot of them?
They all did
a lot of doping. Yeah, Lance Armstrong the most prominent.
Yeah, he's like the only thing I know about really cycling.
Floyd Landis involved?
Yeah, he's the other one.
Mark, honestly, this probably goes back to our February conversation.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was probably wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I did, consume a lot of Saturday night when we Speed, and I'm trying to think of all the guys that I liked. From
Jey Uso, you like
Jey Uso, yeah.
Yeet Boy, as my daughter calls him.
I was yelling that from the couch there. Boy, I do like to get into the tennis finals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not religiously watching the majors as they move along. Obviously, golf kind of speaks for itself for me, so I wouldn't say that. I struggle with NASCAR.
Yeah.
I struggle with F1. I mean, I get that Alex Palou has dominated this season, but I like to think for the most part IndyCar has more parity than that. Yeah, those would probably be the bigger ones. I'm so excited college football's about to start.
Yeah, Daytona 500 is another one for me where that's the Super Bowl racing. I could not care less.
Is it really called that? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Am I biased because I live here now?
What is it?
Like,
Daytona,
sure?
Talladega, and the Brickyard. I mean, I have no idea from a NASCAR sense, but yeah, that's a great question though, Mark.
All right, athletes either from your childhood or adulthood that you dislike. I don't think it's much of a stretch to say who I don't care for. I think that's been well stated on these airwaves. But who do you hate?
Oh, who do I hate?
So Mr. Rogers, for those not following, would be yours?
Yes,
Man.
Aaron, not Fred. Fred was a very good childhood hero.
I mean, obviously, growing up in this market, there is a disdain towards, I would say more of a general disdain towards the Bulls, not necessarily MJ, like just a general, I don't know. Michael has always been in a group of he's kind of hard to hate, right? He's just really freaking good. I've told you guys about the story about MJ and my brother at Prairie View Golf Course. Did I tell you this?
I did not hear this.
I think
story.
I've heard this. Is this the tipping one?
No, not a tipping one, but this is 98 Eastern Conference Finals. It is the day of the Indy 500, and my brother, I think, had a golf tournament maybe that following week, and so my dad and him went out to hit balls at Prairie View. And Prairie View, for those unfamiliar, it's kind of back in a neighborhood in Carmel. At this point, it was very young in its existence, and it was in between a couple of the games of the Eastern Conference Finals. My brother pulls in the parking lot with my dad, and they 8 cars in the parking lot. Obviously, people are more worried about the 500, and some guy is like, hey, wait right here. Michael Jordan's on the 8th hole. He'll be playing the 9th hole, coming up next. And for those unfamiliar with Prairie View, the 9th hole is very exposed, and you have to literally, it ends in the parking lot. And sure enough, I think it was MJ and Ahmad Rashad and somebody else show up on the 9th hole, and Michael Jordan comes over. And again, in the middle of the Eastern Conference Finals, an epic series, Pacers Bulls 98, and says to my brother, I'm not used to signing the small, dimply golf ball, but I will.
There you go.
Was very, very nice and all of that. So
do you still have that golf ball?
I believe he does. So again, like the stain for Jordan, I mean, that's 14-year-old Ryan Bowen. That's like 8-year-old me. That should be high, but it's not. So definitely the Patriots. Belichick.
That's got to be no question around here, right?
Belichick, Brady. Pretty obvious.
Who do you hate more, Belichick or Brady?
It's probably Belichick.
Just because he's just so off-putting with his press conferences.
Grimy. Yeah.
Just grimy.
Yeah.
Every time I think of him walking past those kids. When they took out their hands for the high five, he's just like...
In the Detroit Lions, yeah.
Can't see you.
Game,
can't even see you.
Young James Boyd hated who?
LeBron James.
Really?
Yeah, I loved the Bulls and the bench mob era, Mark Dykton and Ronnie Brewer and company, and I can go on and on with some of those players. Derrick Rose, I remember when he hit the banked in 3-pointer in the playoffs, when he had come back from the ACL injuries and they took a 2-1 lead in that series. I ran down my dorm hallway screaming at the top of my lungs like, oh, we got him. The next game, LeBron James hit a game winner at the buzzer, and the Bulls lost that series. So I hated LeBron James for years because I felt like he was always in the way of the Bulls, and I was a delusional kid thinking the Bulls go to the finals, win it all, and kind of really go on that run similar to how the Pacers did this past season, where I was like, D Rose is MVP, we're good, youngest MVP in league history, and it just never came to fruition because that guy was in the way. And then, as I told you all earlier, to give you a football example, Darrelle Revis. Because he...
Oh, yeah, you got into it with him on Twitter.
Yeah.
Beefing with Darrelle Revis.
I was beefing with Darrelle Revis on Twitter because I was too scared to say all the things I said on Twitter in real life when he did not give me an autograph or a photo. I didn't even think I asked for an autograph. I think it might have been a photo. And he said, I'm not doing photos. And I was thinking, who do you think you are? But he's Darrelle Revis, and I am James Boyd. And that level of greatness is very, very different. So, yeah, I no longer hate him or LeBron James for that matter. But back then, I wanted to smoke.
I still hate Phil Mickelson to this day. I hope he shoots 90 tomorrow in the first round of the British Open. So, obviously growing up a Tiger fan, you had to hate Phil. I think I was like part of being a Tiger fan. Justin points out here those Knicks players. Yeah, Starks, Mason, Oakley. Yeah.
Bill Laimbeer back in the day on the Bad Boy Pistons.
Those were a little bit more hateable. Yeah, those Pistons teams. And I would say more the Pistons. I guess Ben Wallace. I think he deserves so much more blame for the brawl than he gets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That is actually
if he just leaves the floor in a timely manner, it never happens.
Yeah. That part never
It started covered. A rule, right? You have to get off the floor in a somewhat timely manner.
If we're going current athletes that I don't necessarily like, it's probably Draymond. I think Draymond's a lot. I know he's a very great player, Hall of Famer, but, man, his antics sometimes, I just wonder where his head's at.
Yeah, Brett Favre for me as a kid just is – I didn't like him obviously being a Packers quarterback, and then obviously I didn't think he was much of a good human being, and that turned out to be correct. So I'm assuming my Aaron Rodgers evaluation is also correct.
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
I don't know. Probably scamming more people in pounds.
That's a good reason to probably hate the man.
That's a great question, Mark. Mark woke up with hatred this morning.
Last but not least, over under 39.5 wins for the Pacers next season. Too much, too little, or right? Just right?
Too little.
I think that's correct too.
I'm gonna go just right.
I'll be betting the over for the fourth straight year for the Pacers.
I probably would still bet the over, but it wouldn't surprise me if they, had a couple of games swing the other way and they're 38 and whatever instead of 42 and whatever.
I don't know if I'll have time to get to it today, but I do want to get into kind of like best case scenario for the Pacers next year is what? Because I do think that can go a lot of different ways.
That's a Jeff question right there.
Beat the Bucks.
Oh. When are we going to get the news on the Christmas Day games? When do we get that information? Is that more in the fall?
Need Shams Charania to start leaking some stuff.
Schedule's what, August? Yeah, Christmas Day, usually I feel like it gets leaked a little bit
more.
All
right, last question, as I do always. What are we watching? Ashley and I finished The Bears Season 4 last night. It was excellent. Can't wait for Season 5 whenever that may come out. But what are you guys watching?
I'm currently watching Season 3 of Squid Games. So I've been giving Mark daily updates on what I've seen as of late. It is an incredible show for those who have not seen it. I think it's one of the most unique shows probably in television history.
Pretty intense, correct?
Very intense, but I enjoy the concept. It is unlike anything I've ever watched, and because of that, it is one of my favorites.
I think, are on a rotation of Love Island. Maddie is obsessed with, beyond obsessed
God
with,
bless
which
you.
I think like everyone, or at least a lot of people
are
it's a big consuming deal. That right now.
Are there like daily episodes? How does that show work?
I guess they're in like some Pacific island, and yes, daily episodes besides like Wednesday and maybe Sunday.
They actually are? I thought it was once a week.
Yeah, it's wild.
No, my sister-in-law watched it too, and she said she like missed like a couple episodes, and she's like, "I'm so far behind now. I don't know if I can catch up." I'm like, "What? What is this show?
They're
How is
allowed
it
like
nonstop?
2 drinks a day? I don't know. All of it is like fascinating to me. Sadly, weirdly. And Rosie is obsessed with Is It Cake?
Oh, yeah, we've been in that route too.
So is this a show on a
Netflix.
Platform? Oh, Netflix. Okay,
Yep.
I got to check that out.
I mean, it's pretty wild.
It is insane.
Okay, I
Trying
gotta check
to
that out.
decipher like, is that shoe a shoe or is it cake? And then we're just on a baking craze. Rosie loves to bake, so the British baking show as well. So the kids are making these British cakes. And last night, I'm trying to think who won. I can see the little kid. He looked like a Prince Harry's offspring. He was up there. So yeah, that's what we're consuming in the Bowen household.
Speaking of Is It Cake, the Season 17, second episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia has a cake reference to it, and if you know, you know. But that show is still outstanding. 17 seasons in, and they're still going strong.
Gosh, you pulled that off the top of your head.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite impressive.
It's a great show.
In studio, Joey Graciano in a few to talk WNBA All-Star Weekend. How about a morning checkdown?
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
By the way, Mark Dykton, thank you as always. All right, let's hit a check down, and let's begin with, I guess, the brief update last night from Stephanie White on Caitlin Clark's injury. Again, appeared to be in kind of the right groin area. She did not return to the game. Granted, there was like 20 seconds left in the game, but she was visibly in some pain, not only physically but emotionally, and kind of made a beeline for the locker room after breaking it down with her team. Here was Stephanie White postgame.
No update. Just felt a little something in her groin, so we'll get it evaluated and see what happens from there.
James Boyd, if I ask you unfairly to put the medical hat on, you would say what?
She will not play today or tonight in New York against the Liberty, and she will not participate in All-Star Weekend and probably will not be in a few games after that because at this point you really need to probably shut her down and get her right fully and not just do this day-to-day thing that they've done in the past.
Yeah, I hate to agree with that sort of assessment, but I think you are right on that. Fever did win last night. Connecticut, first time 3-game win streak all year, first time couple games over 500, so much needed. They'll play tonight. Our coverage will begin, 7:15, right? Don't we usually go 15 minutes before tip? I believe with Eddie Garrison on the pregame. The New York Liberty, so a big step up in competition. No John Quill Jones still for the Liberty, but still pretty good opponent tonight, and we'll see if it'll be life again without Caitlin Clark for the Fever. All right, last night in Atlanta, great drama late in the All-Star game. It was 6-6 in the ninth, so we went to extras, and the extra for the All-Star game was a swing-off. 3 batters each, AL and NL, alternated hitters. You got, again, 3 swings, and Kyle Schwarber, the second batter for the NL, went yard to deep center, right center, and then absolutely ripped the line drive, falling to his knee over the right field fence, a true no-doubter to push the NL ahead 4-3, and that was the final score. Some great, great theater from the MLB All-Star game, and no surprise it was Kyle Schwarber getting it done.
One of the funnier TikToks I saw recently was them going around asking all the players, okay, could an average person, how long would it take an average person to hit a home run off of an MLB pitcher? And seeing what Kyle Schwarber did, I'm like, I would never be able to do that, ever. Like, I don't care how many chances you give me.
That was batting practice.
Yeah, like how many years you give me. Like, if they're actually throwing a real pitch at me with, like, and again, I think the average American does not have a great swing, obviously. No, I would not be able to do it, period. Like, there is no time limit on it. I would just be out there swinging until my arms fall off.
Yeah, I think I would sadly be in the same boat with you as well. Other items here, we mentioned the TBT. Basketball alumni at Hinkle this weekend if you're looking for something to do. I believe those games Saturday, Sunday. I think the championship is Tuesday. Butler's got an alumni team. Indiana's got an alumni team. Valpo, I want to say Ohio State might be the number 1 seed in that region. So a lot of former college basketball players, names you guys would know. These guys had James Blackman Jr. on the show last week. For Butler, you got Shelvin Mack, Sean McDermott, Kamar Baldwin. So that's taking place up at Hinkle. And the ESPYs are tonight. Am I seeing this correct?
Yes.
Honestly, that was the first time I had heard about that. It was tonight. I think we went over this yesterday. I feel like that sneaks up on me every year, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that is happening. I should probably watch it.
And this is cool and super deserving. Some of this gets leaked. I think back to last year when we were interviewing Caitlin Clark. We had Caitlin Clark on the show last year, and she did our 10-minute interview in between taping an acceptance award for winning like SB College Athlete of the Year and a 20-person meeting with people from Nike. So, I think at that point, the lowly fan morning show was probably something she looked at on her itinerary. I was like, wait, I have to do this.
I've got a 10-minute break in here. That's nice.
I greatly appreciate that. But the Colts were named the Sports Humanitarian Team of the Year for their Kicking the Stigma initiative. And again, this has raised over $31 million for mental health. Obviously, Kaylin Jackson, the youngest Irsay daughter, has been a huge public spearheader in a lot of this. And Jim Irsay was very, very public with this as well. So the ESPY Awards tonight, 8 o'clock. I don't know if the Colts will have like a singled out, presentation of the award. I know they don't do that for all of it, but well-deserving in what they've done there for mental health.
One last thing. Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer, formerly of the IU coaching staff back in the day, talking about their schedule this year. I thought this was very fitting considering what we talked about Kurt Signetti's crew yesterday. He said, quote, "Look at our schedule this year. We're playing Florida State and Wisconsin. We're into playing as many high-end games as possible." I think we can
Thank you, Coach.
Send that off to Bloomington.
Thank you, Coach DeBoer. Yeah, an absolute
Tell Coach DeBoer to mind his business.
An absolute utter joke what the IU football program has done with their non-conference schedule. All right, coming up, we'll talk WNBA All-Star Weekend, and we'll hit that with Joey Graciano from the Pacers, Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton here on a Wednesday.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, in a few, we'll catch up with Joey Graciano, a member of the Pacers Sports and Entertainment, big-time hire from the NBA. He'll have a lot to share on WNBA All-Star Weekend. James Boyd, it'll get busy downtown, probably coming up tomorrow. I don't know if it's just people that were at the game on Sunday and have stayed in town. I feel like I've seen more WNBA-related jerseys, not just Caitlin Clark, downtown this week already. And I'm like, I guess it's summer. Maybe you turn it into kind of a 4 or 5 day thing because on court, nothing starts till Friday, but downtown seems relatively busy to me.
Yeah, I saw a few variety of jerseys that I normally don't see as well, Kevin. And also, I sat on yesterday and had to make my own itinerary for where I'm supposed to be in my coverage of All-Star Weekend. So I'll have some stories for you all coming up here over the next few days. But yeah, it was honestly because, and I would love to hear Joey's input on this when he joins us, Joey Graciano. But do they have a master schedule for all these things? Because you get invited to so many different things. And I'm like, okay, this was at this time, this is at this time. And there's some overlap there. But nevertheless, I will have some, hopefully a lot of fun, see a lot of friends that are from around the league. And for those of you who are interested, I will be going to the WNBA Live preview tomorrow, which is basically a preview of all of the different activities they will have at the convention center, kind of like they had during NBA All-Star Weekend.
Right.
So
we did a show live from the convention center.
So I will report live Friday morning to give you all, hey, here's what I thought was cool. Here's what your kids could do. Something like that to kind of give you a preview if you're just curious about how it is and if it's worth the money getting in.
Awesome. I look forward to that. Again, Friday night, we'll have the skills and the 3-point over at Gamebridge. Saturday will be the game. Skills-wise, locally, got Skylar Diggins in that, so shout out to the Notre Dame product and the South Bend Washington Star. Erica Wheeler, former Fever player.
Who is beloved here, by the way, still.
Very much so. And then the 3-point contest, it's a loaded field with or without Caitlin Clark. Obviously, Caitlin Clark takes it to another level. But Sabrina Ionescu, Alicia Gray, both of those are the defending champs the last 2 years. Kelsey Plum, Sonia Centrone, also from Notre Dame, taking part in that. And then off the court, James, it's a huge, huge week, and especially Thursday. Caitlin Clark mentioned last night before the game that she will take part in some of the CBA talks between the league and the Players Association. And in the history of sports, I don't know if you've ever seen a players union that probably has more leverage in regards to their respective league. Obviously the amount of money is not going to be at the NFL level, but still, it's going to be monumental for them. So
real quick, to your point, Kevin, I'm not sure if you've seen a player command this much power this early on in their career. This isn't second year LeBron James not negotiating CBAs, but Caitlin Clark made it a point to say, I will be at these meetings. And to quote her from yesterday, and this is courtesy of Chloe Peterson at Indy Star, who covers the Fever, Caitlin said before yesterday's game, this is my second year in the league, but also this is also a very important time for our league and where it's going to continue to grow. So that's why she's making herself available for these talks. And I think that's a big, big burden to put on yourself or really to, take or willingly accept to try to make the whole better, not just, yourself.
Yeah, and I think one thing to keep in mind, too, with all of this is, I think back to 2011, and those are pretty massively played out in the public eye, the NFL. Labor disputes between, there's that infamous picture of Robert Kraft and Jeff Saturday when everything was said and done. Right now, the two sides, WNBA and the Players Association, appear to be very far off. Mm-hmm. Very far off. Now, we're a full calendar year away from, 2026 basketball season. Yeah. And, the phrase of work stoppages, I think, gives everybody kind of the heebie-jeebies when you think about it from that aspect of it. But those will all be conversations that we do have here. I would like to see, if Caitlin Clark can't compete in the 3-point contest, James, I'd love to see a fill-in, Fever-related fill-in. And it can be anybody. It could be Kelsey Mitchell. It could be Lexi Hall. It could be Sophie Cunningham.
Bring me Sophie Cunningham, mainly because of her personality. She has the outward personality. She's a lot of fun. She hypes up the crowd. I think she would bring good energy to the stage.
And now we do have Joey Graciano.
I know. Looking
studio,
very dapper
fresh
as well.
off the red eye. Wow, he looks excellent.
I was like, I don't look like this ever on a flight, and I never take red eyes.
I'm wearing an Edinburgh Outlet Greg Oden t-shirt. James Boyd's wearing, is that a Shop Hickory shirt, James Boyd?
No, this is from the actual gym over in Nicetown.
Okay, shout out to the Hoosier Gym. And Joey Graciano looks crisp with his suit on. Joey, good morning to you. How are you?
It's good morning, boys. But if you can't be good looking, you got to fake it. So that's always been my philosophy with the suit jacket.
He is the executive vice president of strategy and new business ventures with the Pacers Sports and Entertainment. A lot we want to get into here. We'll probably do it after the break, Joey. But just quickly to hit on, it's about to get real busy downtown, and James and I were talking about it. I feel the buzz already. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You see it from a signage standpoint, but it just seems like generally there's a bigger crowd. I know you just got back into the Circle City, but maybe an event or two to plug. We'll get more into it after the break, but something you're looking forward to here over the next 72 hours.
No, certainly. I mean, I think what's exciting is, I was just in Vegas at Summer League, and that's where I was coming from, and the entire NBA universe was descending on Indianapolis. So everybody was exciting. A lot of people taking flights today and tomorrow, making sure that they're coming. So this is, in my opinion, the must-watch, can't-miss event of the summer. I think everybody's excited for the moment in women's sports, for our team in particular, and for this city. And it's going to really tip off with us with the Tamika Catchings mural later today. I mean, our own legend, how can you not be excited about that moment for somebody who's so humble and given back so much to the city? You've got to want to feel that you should be there for that moment today.
Yeah, amen to that. I do want to get into what a red eye from Vegas looks like. I can only imagine the type of people that are on that. So plenty to get to. Joey Graciano from the Pacers, he's over here in studio with us. He was in studio a couple years ago during NBA All-Star weekend. He's got a lot to share about what is a pretty unique time here in our city. We'll do that one final time here. Fan Morning Show.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We will reward the old YouTube chat with a little ticket giveaway. Mark Dykton will take care of that inside the YouTube chat. And right now inside of the DriveHubler.com studio, the great Joey Graciano, Executive Vice President of Strategy and New Business Ventures with the Indiana Pacers. You actually heard him in studio with us a couple years ago. That was around MLB All-Star weekend. Back then you worked for the league, and then you called Indy home for a little bit of time. Yeah. And actually, if you don't mind, could I start there? I've chatted with you before, but I was kind of like, whoa, this dude from the league, this dude who like pretty much started the bubble is joining the Indiana Pacers. That doesn't add up to me. Could you explain a little bit more of why you wanted to leave the NBA? And
you're not the first person who said that, but you know what? I think once I explain, I think everyone sort of gets it. I mean, in my mind, there's a seminal moment, obviously, in women's sports going on. I believe we're leading that moment. We've got a transformative star. At the same time, I'm really excited. I'm a huge fan of Rick Fuson, but incredibly excited for Mel Raines and the opportunity she has now to lead this organization. And I think we look at Indianapolis, and we reference it. I think it's the best major event hosting city in the country, but it's also the opportunity for us to be able. There's so much trust in these franchises between the Pacers and the Fever, certainly also the Colts. Where there's just decades built of trust. And when you have that, you now have opportunities. And we have this vision of becoming holistic entertainment providers, really thinking differently about our downtown. And so I think that opportunity all just doesn't come together very often. And so when it did, this seemed like the right moment. And especially if you're one of those guys who runs his mouth, like I have a tendency to do, sometimes you got to say, all right, I'm in.
I love it. Well, we're very grateful to have you. You mentioned the Tamika Catchings mural. That is 5 o'clock tonight. That will be unveiled, and I know a big part of this week with the WNBA All-Star game coming to town is the FeverFest. I believe they're the only WNBA team to have their own festival. Could you share a little bit more on that? And for people that just can't get into the building.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting. So this is our first event in our partnership with Kevin Hart and his company Heartbeat, and we're excited. We're going to launch FeverFest, which is we are the first WNBA or NBA team to have our own music and comedy festival. We believe it's going to be a seminal part of the Indiana summer every single year. We're looking at some of the biggest music festivals in the country and saying, why doesn't one happen here? Our city's lined out perfectly for a music festival. So we're excited about what's to come. The lineup for this one is it's hitters. We've got Leslie Jones from SNL. We've got Kid Laroi, G-Eazy, Bia, Cedric the Entertainer, Dion Cole, all performing live. An event that what I like to do in the event business is I think you should put together lineups that will never come together again. So it's got to be something that's like, if I don't see it that time, I won't be able to ever see that lineup in that moment. And what we did was find a bunch of artists whose connection was they love women's basketball, they love the Fever, so we wanted to bring them into one place. They'll never perform together again. And it tips off with something I think is just truly fascinating. Our own Sydney Colson. You got to like be fired up watching her bring the ball up. She's just an incredible energy on the court. And she is going to do a comedy set live. It's her first ever festival performance.
Good for her, by the way.
Yeah, and you think about like who our players are, and they're fashion designers, they're artists, they're musicians, they're CEOs, they don't know these other businesses. Like they're so dynamic off the court. But to think you'd have the guts to go up in front of thousands of people and do a live comedy set, 2 days after we're playing point guard, it's just crazy. It's like, and the fact that she's doing that, I just have so much respect for her.
So to piggyback off of that, Joey, because I had a chance to talk to her about this a few days ago, and I have a story in The Athletic about this event. I'm going to it to cover it. Was that like a partnership? Did she reach out to you all? Did you all kind of just pick her brain and see, hey, would you feel comfortable doing this? Because she said, and these are her words, if something scares me, I kind of want to do it more. And I'm like, you are such a unique person for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with, our great Kelly Kroskoff and Amber Cops. Like, you learn about your players. Like, and I think when you learn about them, you try to be as invested in who they are off the court as they are certainly their talent on the court. And that's just the way that our operation works. We try to learn about our players. We know their families. We're heavily invested in them. And when you're invested in Sid, you can't not find the charisma. Like the charisma just oozes out of her.
Yeah.
And so in talking about one of the things that she's interested in thinking about, when her career finally ends at some point, she's excited about the media opportunities and excited about this part of her talent that I think she's had to put a little bit on the back burner while she's been playing. And comedy is a huge part of who she is. And so when we were thinking about a festival, we then reached out and was like, do you want to do this alongside us? Do you want to be a part of it? And of course, I think it was an easy, hopefully, yes, because she trusts us trust the operation with Kevin Hart's team. But it's just a great stage for somebody, and like a moment that we're going to be able to talk about and say it will never happen again with a player doing that. The last time a player performed during NBA All-Star, I think Damian Lillard in 2000 performed with Lil Wayne, but he could sing. No comedy. Comedy is like a different. I feel like comedy, you're on an island up there if it don't hit.
Yeah, I remember we had a dude who got last in fantasy football had to perform a comedy stand-up at an open mic night, and it did not go well at all.
That's brutal.
Joey Graciano, Executive Vice President of Strategy and New Business Ventures with Pacers Sports and Entertainment. Okay, Joey, Mark Dykton, our producer here, he is the father of 3 young girls. Pitch something, hint. If you are a Donut County resident, you've got young girls, you don't necessarily, whatever. Tip time of 8 and 8:30 is a little bit later for you.
Yeah.
What would you pitch in general downtown along with what you've already alluded to?
Yeah, well, if at FeverFest we do have also the official watch party, so we are going to put the game on live over at Everwise at the amphitheater. So we think that's great for families.
Awesome place.
Yeah, it's a beautiful setting, and it's a great place where you could be able to watch the game and not have to feel like you had to stay until the end because of the how late it is. But we've also got WNBA Live, which is the fan event at the convention center. Really affordable tickets and the opportunity to be able to experience player appearances. All of our marketing partners for the WNBA will be there. It truly becomes that fully immersive fan environment that I know so many fans love with NBA crossover that was here during All-Star weekend. And yeah, and now this is the WNBA version of that particular event called WNBA Live.
Okay, so Convention Center, White River Amphitheater, those some places. We'll definitely tweet some of this out. We're up against it. We only have about a minute or so left, but I did want to mention, it crossed my mind. I don't know why. Maybe it was the NBA All-Star game, because when you were in studio a couple years ago, you said, hey, we're going to have Saturday night inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. It's never been done before. It's something that we think makes total sense. You think we'll ever see a Fever game inside of Lucas Oil Stadium?
It's a great question. I'm really excited about bringing the Fever around the world. And so I think, one of the great parts is when you have a team this exciting, we've seen interest from Asia. We've seen interest from Australia. Teams wanting to make sure that the Fever have an opportunity to play in their markets. Obviously, this year we played in Iowa. So I think what we've seen from our team is that they're excited to be able to use the platform to get into new places. So I wouldn't put anything past us.
Yeah, last night, 19,000 inside of TD Garden. That was kind of wild to see that. Connecticut going over to Boston.
Every game's a home game. And you looked out there and you watched that and you saw a whole lot of red. I think our fans show up from around the country. It's really special what's going on.
James, you pointed out that 7-for-7 start of the game, and Caitlin Clark's motion to the visiting crowd of give us a little bit more.
Hey man, we know who the needle mover is. It's honestly amazing. I've told Kevin this story, but I've seen grown men and women cry after getting her signature or getting a piece of memorabilia signed or a photo. So it is pretty special stuff.
You guys know we 30% of our fans come from outside the state of Indiana to every game. That doesn't exist anywhere else in the country on any sport.
For a centrally located city within
correct.
the state.
Maybe the only other place you could think about is what's going on in Vegas with the Raiders, because it's Las Vegas and that is a premier destination where there's a lot of people from outside. But there's nothing else like this anywhere in sports.
Again, that is Joey Graziano, Executive Vice President of Strategy, New Business Ventures with the Pacers. Thank you so much, Joey, for the time. I think you maybe could have some announcements down the road, so maybe we'll have to have you back on here in a little bit. And most importantly, safe travels from Vegas last night. Everybody, All-Star Weekend. We'll talk about it the next 2 days. Fan Morning.